Tonight, we're leaving behind busy cities, glowing screens, and noisy roads. Instead, we're stepping quietly into one of the oldest homes on Earth, a place where sunlight filters through endless leaves, ancient trees whisper in the breeze, and every sound seems designed to slow your heartbeat. As you settle in, you don't need to remember every fact. You don't need to stay awake until the end. This journey is meant to be gentle, peaceful, and wonderfully unhurried. If you enjoy relaxing science and calming nature documentaries like this, consider subscribing. And now, dim the lights, get comfortable, take one slow breath, and let's wander into the forest together. Fact 1. A forest is never truly silent. Imagine standing in the middle of a vast forest just before sunrise. At first, it may seem perfectly quiet, but if you listen carefully, you'll discover that silence doesn't really exist here. Every forest is alive with thousands of tiny sounds working together like a peaceful orchestra. A single leaf rustling against another creates a soft whisper that may travel only a few meters before fading away. Tiny insects buzz through the cool morning air while distant birds begin their first songs of the day. Somewhere nearby, a squirrel quietly jumps from one branch to another, barely making a sound. Even the trees themselves are never completely still. As temperatures change throughout the day, wood slowly expands and contracts. Very old trees can produce tiny creaks and gentle pops that are almost impossible to notice unless everything else is perfectly calm. The forest floor is equally busy. Small beetles crawl beneath fallen leaves. Earthworms quietly move through moist soil. Mushrooms continue growing almost invisibly after a night of gentle rain. Wind adds another beautiful layer to this natural symphony. A light breeze passing through pine needles creates an entirely different sound than the same breeze moving through broad maple leaves. Every tree species has its own unique voice. Scientists who record natural forests often discover hundreds of different sound sources within just a few minutes. Many of these sounds are too soft for people to notice without sensitive microphones. Some animals even depend on these background noises. They learn to recognize when something unusual interrupts the familiar rhythm of the forest. A sudden silence can sometimes be more important than a loud noise because it may signal that a predator is nearby. This constant yet gentle activity explains why many people find forests deeply relaxing. Instead of sharp or repetitive sounds, forests produce countless soft, unpredictable noises that help calm the human brain. So although a forest may appear peaceful from a distance, it is actually filled with millions of tiny conversations happening all around you, every single second, day and night. Fact 2. Trees can live longer than entire civilizations. When we think about old things, castles, or ancient pyramids often come to mind. Yet many forests contain living trees that began growing long before some famous civilizations reached their greatest achievements. A young tree starts from a seed no larger than a coin, quietly pushing tiny roots into the soil while reaching its first leaves towards sunlight. Over many decades, that small seedling slowly becomes stronger, adding a thin new ring of wood every year. Unlike animals, trees don't stop growing once they reach adulthood. They continue adding new layers throughout their lives, patiently becoming larger and taller with every passing season. Some tree species regularly live for several hundred years. Others survive for more than 1,000 years. The oldest known trees on Earth have witnessed changing climates, rising mountains, and countless generations of wildlife. Imagine standing beside a tree that was already growing when medieval castles were being built. Its branches have sheltered thousands of birds. Its bark has survived storms, snow, lightning, and droughts. Each year becomes another ring hidden inside the trunk. Scientists can often study these rings to learn about ancient weather patterns. Thick rings usually suggest good growing conditions, while thinner rings may reveal difficult years with less rain or colder temperatures. Old trees become entire neighborhoods for wildlife. Birds nest inside hollow branches. Moss blankets rough bark. Tiny insects hide beneath loose pieces of wood. Owls, bats, squirrels, and fungi all depend upon these ancient giants. As trees age, they also help younger forests grow. Their falling leaves enrich the soil with nutrients, while their broad canopies create cool, shaded environments where delicate seedlings can safely begin life. Many forests therefore contain several generations growing together. Ancient giants stand beside middle-aged trees, while tiny saplings quietly prepare to become the giants of the future. Every old tree reminds us that nature measures time differently than humans do. What feels like a lifetime to us may simply be another peaceful chapter in the remarkable life of a forest. Fact 3. Forest soil is more alive than it looks. At first glance, the forest floor may seem like nothing more than a soft carpet of brown leaves, scattered twigs, and patches of green moss. It feels peaceful beneath your feet, almost sleepy. But beneath that quiet surface lies one of the busiest places on Earth. Just a handful of healthy forest soil can contain billions of microscopic organisms. Tiny bacteria, delicate fungi, invisible algae, and countless other forms of life quietly go about their work every second of every day. Earthworms slowly tunnel through the damp ground, gently mixing old leaves with rich soil. As they move, they create tiny passageways that help rainwater soak deeper into the earth instead of running away across the surface. Beetles, ants, springtails, mites, and many other tiny creatures spend their entire lives hidden beneath fallen leaves. Most people walk through forests without ever realizing that thousands of small animals may be living beneath every single step. One of the most important workers is fungi. Thin threads called mycelium spread through the soil like an enormous underground web. These delicate strands slowly break down dead wood and fallen leaves, returning valuable nutrients to the forest. Without these invisible helpers, forests would soon become buried under centuries of fallen branches and leaves. Instead, nature patiently recycles almost everything, turning old life into new life. The rich smell many people notice after rain comes partly from these hard-working organisms. As moisture reaches the soil, microscopic life becomes more active, releasing earthy scents that many people find comforting and relaxing. Some scientists estimate that more species live beneath the forest floor than above it. Many remain undiscovered because they are simply too small to see without powerful microscopes. Every towering oak, maple, pine, or cedar depends upon this hidden world. Their roots absorb nutrients that countless tiny organisms have carefully prepared over many years. So while your eyes may naturally look upward toward the tall trees, remember that an equally fascinating forest exists beneath your feet, quietly supporting everything above. Fact 4. Sunlight travels through many layers. When sunlight first reaches a forest, it doesn't simply shine straight to the ground. Instead, it begins a slow journey through many different layers of leaves and branches, creating one of nature's most beautiful displays. At the very top stands the forest canopy. Here, the tallest trees stretch their crowns toward the sky, capturing much of the sunlight before it can reach lower levels. These upper leaves work like enormous solar panels. Using sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, they produce the energy that allows the tree to grow taller each year. Some rays of sunlight slip through tiny openings between branches. They drift downward like golden ribbons, gently illuminating patches of moss, flowers, and young saplings waiting below. As the wind moves the leaves, these beams constantly shift across the forest floor. Bright circles appear for only a few moments before quietly disappearing again, replaced by new patches of light somewhere else. Many forest plants have adapted perfectly to these changing conditions. Instead of needing constant sunshine, they patiently wait for brief moments when the canopy opens just enough to give them the light they need. Morning light often appears cool and soft, while afternoon sunlight becomes warmer and richer. During autumn, the lower angle of the sun creates even longer beams that stretch dramatically through the trees. Mist adds another magical effect. Tiny water droplets floating in the air make individual rays of sunlight visible, creating glowing columns that seem almost magical as they pass between ancient trunks. Photographers often wake before sunrise just to capture these peaceful moments, when light, fog, and forest combine into scenes that seem almost dreamlike. Every sunrise paints the forest a little differently, ensuring that no two mornings beneath the trees are ever exactly the same. Fact 5. Trees share more than just space. For many years, people believed that trees simply stood beside one another, each growing independently without much interaction. Today, scientists know the story is far more remarkable. Beneath the forest floor, countless roots stretch quietly through the soil. Around these roots grows an enormous network of fungi whose delicate threads connect one tree to another. This underground system is sometimes compared to a natural communication network because it links many different plants across surprisingly large areas. Through these fungal connections, trees can exchange water, nutrients, and even chemical signals. Although they do not think or speak like humans, they are capable of responding to changes happening around them. If one tree experiences stress from drought, nearby trees may also change how they use water. The forest often behaves more like a connected community than a collection of isolated individuals. Large, older trees frequently support younger seedlings growing beneath their shade. Through underground fungal partnerships, nutrients may move from stronger trees toward smaller ones that receive less sunlight. Scientists continue studying exactly how these systems work, discovering new details every year. While there is still much to learn, it is clear that forests are far more interconnected than people once imagined. These relationships have developed slowly over millions of years. Every generation of trees helps shape the soil that future generations will depend upon. Even fallen trees continue participating in this cycle. As they decay, their nutrients gradually return to the earth, feeding new seedlings that will someday become towering giants themselves. The next time you see a peaceful forest, imagine an invisible web quietly linking hundreds of trees beneath the ground, reminding us that nature often works together in ways we cannot easily see. Fact 6. Every forest has its own unique scent. As you slowly walk beneath the trees, one of the first things you may notice isn't something you can see at all. It's the gentle, earthy fragrance that fills the air. Every forest has its own unique scent, shaped by the trees, the soil, the weather, and the countless living things that call it home. A pine forest often carries the fresh aroma of resin, released from needles and bark. This crisp scent can become especially noticeable on warm, sunny afternoons when the trees gently release more of their natural oils into the air. A deciduous forest smells different. Fallen oak, maple, and beech leaves slowly break down on the forest floor, creating the rich, earthy fragrance that many people associate with autumn walks. After a gentle rain, the forest becomes even more aromatic. Moisture awakens microscopic organisms in the soil, releasing a pleasant earthy smell known as petrichor, mixed with the fresh scent of damp wood and moss. Wildflowers add delicate notes during spring and summer. Ferns, mosses, and mushrooms each contribute subtle fragrances that blend together into a scent unlike anywhere else on Earth. Animals also leave faint traces of their presence. Deer, foxes, birds, and countless insects quietly move through the forest, each adding tiny chemical signatures that other wildlife can detect far better than humans can. Scientists have discovered that many trees release natural compounds called phytoncides. These substances help protect trees from insects and disease, while also giving forests much of their characteristic fresh aroma. Research suggests that spending time breathing forest air may help reduce stress and promote relaxation. One reason why forest walks often leave people feeling refreshed and calm. Because every forest contains different combinations of plants, soils, and climates, no two forests smell exactly alike. Each one has its own natural perfume, patiently created over countless seasons. So if you ever close your eyes while standing among the trees, you may discover that your nose can recognize a forest just as clearly as your eyes can. Fact 7. Moss is nature's soft green carpet. Among the towering trees and sturdy shrubs lives one of the forest's smallest, yet most beautiful residents. Moss grows quietly across rocks, fallen logs, tree trunks, and damp soil, covering them with a soft blanket of vibrant green. Unlike most plants, moss has no true roots. Instead, it anchors itself with tiny thread-like structures while absorbing much of its water directly through its leaves. Because of this, moss thrives where moisture is plentiful. Shady forests, cool valleys, and areas beside streams often become perfect homes for these delicate plants. Some patches of moss grow so slowly that they may take several years to cover only a small rock. Yet, given enough time, they can transform entire fallen trees into emerald green works of art. Morning dew collects beautifully on moss. Tiny droplets sparkle like thousands of miniature diamonds whenever the first rays of sunlight reach the forest floor. Many tiny creatures depend on moss for survival. Insects hide among its dense stems, spiders weave tiny webs above it, and microscopic animals called tardigrades often live within its moist surface. Birds frequently gather soft moss to line their nests. The gentle cushioning helps keep eggs warm and provides a comfortable place for newly hatched chicks. Moss also plays an important role in the forest ecosystem by holding water like a natural sponge. During heavy rain, it absorbs moisture and slowly releases it back into the environment. Some species of moss have existed for hundreds of millions of years, making them among Earth's oldest groups of land plants. Long before flowering plants appeared, ancient mosses were already covering parts of the planet. Though it rarely grows tall enough to catch our attention, moss quietly reminds us that some of nature's greatest beauty can be found in its smallest details. Fact 8. Fallen trees continue helping the forest. When a giant tree finally falls after decades or even centuries of growth, it may seem like the end of its story. In reality, a completely new chapter is just beginning. The fallen trunk immediately becomes part of the forest floor, where it slowly begins returning its stored nutrients to the earth. This process can continue for many decades. Fungi are often the first to arrive. Their delicate threads spread through the wood, gradually breaking down the tough fibers that once supported the towering tree. Soon afterward come beetles, ants, termites, and many other insects. They carve tiny tunnels through the decaying wood, creating homes for themselves while helping decomposition continue. Birds search these logs for insects hidden beneath loose bark. Woodpeckers tap rhythmically against the trunk, finding meals that other animals cannot reach. As the wood softens, mosses and small plants begin growing across its surface. Eventually, young tree seedlings may sprout directly from the old trunk, using it as a rich source of nutrients. Scientists sometimes call these nurse logs because they provide an ideal place for new trees to begin life safely above the crowded forest floor. The hollow spaces inside old logs become shelters for salamanders, frogs, snakes, mice, and countless other small animals seeking protection from predators and harsh weather. Even after the original tree has completely decomposed, the nutrients that once formed it would continue supporting future generations of plants and wildlife. In the forest, very little is wasted. Even in death, an old tree continues giving life to the world around it, showing that nature's cycles are wonderfully complete. Fact 9. Forests create their own weather. Large forests do far more than simply grow trees. Together, millions of trees actively influence the weather in surprising ways. Every day, trees draw water upward from the soil through their roots. This water travels through the trunk and eventually reaches the leaves high above the ground. Tiny openings on the leaves release much of this water back into the atmosphere as invisible water vapor through a process called transpiration. When billions of leaves release moisture at the same time, the air above the forest becomes noticeably more humid than nearby open areas. This extra moisture can contribute to cloud formation, especially during warm weather. In some regions, forests help increase the likelihood of local rainfall. The shade provided by the canopy also keeps the forest cooler during hot summer days. Temperatures beneath the trees are often several degrees lower than nearby open fields. At night, forests release heat more slowly than open ground, helping reduce extreme temperature changes between day and night. The trees also slow down strong winds. Their trunks and branches act as natural barriers, creating calmer conditions within the forest itself. These combined effects allow forests to create unique microclimates where many plants and animals can thrive even when surrounding environments become much hotter or drier. By quietly cycling water, cooling the air, and shaping local weather patterns, forests become active partners in Earth's climate rather than simply passive landscapes. Fact 10. The tallest trees touch the sky. Some forests are home to trees so incredibly tall that standing beneath them feels almost like looking up at a skyscraper built entirely by nature. The tallest known trees belong to the coast redwood species, which grows naturally along parts of the Pacific coast of North America. Some individual redwoods rise over 115 meters, making them taller than a 35-story building. Their highest branches seem to disappear into the mist on cool mornings. These giants grow slowly but steadily over many centuries, adding only a small amount of height each year while becoming stronger with age. Their thick bark protects them from many forest fires, insects, and diseases, allowing some individuals to survive for more than 2,000 years. Looking upward from the base of one of these trees is a breathtaking experience. Sunlight filters through layers of branches far overhead, creating a peaceful cathedral-like atmosphere. The upper canopy forms an entirely separate ecosystem. Birds, insects, lichens, mosses, and even small plants live high above the ground, sometimes spending their entire lives dozens of meters in the air. Researchers have climbed these towering trees and discovered hidden gardens growing on massive branches, complete with rich soil formed from centuries of fallen leaves. Despite their incredible size, These giants begin life as seeds no larger than a grain of rice, reminding us that even the greatest living things often start incredibly small. As you imagine walking among these silent giants, it's easy to understand why forests have inspired wonder, respect, and peaceful reflection throughout human history. Fact 11. Forests help create the air we breathe. Every quiet breath you take has a remarkable connection to the world's forests. Although we rarely think about it, trees are constantly working to keep Earth's atmosphere balanced, performing this task every hour of every day without ever stopping. As sunlight shines onto their leaves, trees begin a process called photosynthesis. Using energy from the sun, they combine water from the soil with carbon dioxide from the air to create the sugars they need to grow. During this process, oxygen is released back into the atmosphere. This oxygen becomes part of the air that humans and animals breathe every day. A mature forest contains millions upon millions of leaves. Together, these leaves act like an enormous green factory powered entirely by sunlight, quietly supporting life across the planet. Trees also store large amounts of carbon inside their trunks, branches, roots, and leaves. Instead of allowing all that carbon to remain in the atmosphere, forests safely lock much of it away for decades or even centuries. Even after a tree dies, much of this carbon remains stored in its wood while it slowly decomposes, continuing the natural cycle of the forest. Young forests grow rapidly and absorb carbon quickly, while ancient forests serve as enormous long-term reservoirs that have been storing carbon for hundreds of years. Scientists continue studying exactly how different forests contribute to Earth's climate, but one thing is clear: healthy forests play an important role in maintaining the balance of our atmosphere. Every peaceful woodland, from a small local forest to a vast rainforest, quietly participates in this global system without asking for recognition. So the next time you take a slow, relaxing breath, remember that countless leaves have been gently working to help make that breath possible. Fact 12. Rainforests are Earth's greatest living libraries. Imagine opening a book that contains millions of different stories. Now imagine that every page is alive. That is perhaps the closest comparison to a tropical rainforest. Rainforests cover only a small percentage of Earth's land, yet they contain an astonishing share of the world's plant and animal species. Scientists estimate that many rainforest species have not even been discovered yet. New insects, fungi, plants, and microorganisms are still being identified every year. Each tree may support hundreds of different forms of life. Birds nest among its branches, insects feed upon its leaves, frogs hide in its bark, and fungi quietly grow around its roots. Even a single fallen log may become home to dozens of different organisms, each playing its own small role within the forest. Many medicines used by humans today were originally developed from chemicals found in rainforest plants. Researchers continue exploring these forests in search of new discoveries. Because every species interacts with many others, removing one plant or animal can sometimes affect an entire chain of life that scientists are still trying to understand. The rainforest changes constantly. Flowers bloom, fruits ripen, seeds fall, animals migrate, and new plants quietly emerge beneath the dense canopy. Every day brings countless tiny events that most people will never witness. Yet together they keep the forest healthy and thriving. In many ways, rainforests are living libraries whose greatest secrets are still waiting to be discovered. Fact 13. Some trees grow together. If you walk through an old forest, you may occasionally notice two tree trunks growing so close together that they almost appear to be one. Sometimes this happens because two young trees begin life only a few centimeters apart. As they slowly grow larger over many decades, their trunks gently press against one another. In certain cases, the bark wears away where the trunks touch, allowing the trees to gradually fuse together in a natural process known as inosculation. Although each tree keeps its own roots and leaves, their wood becomes connected, forming a living bridge between them. These natural unions are relatively uncommon, making them exciting discoveries for hikers and forest researchers alike. Strong winds often encourage branches from neighboring trees to touch repeatedly over many years, increasing the chances that they may eventually grow together. These living connections can create unusual shapes that seem almost sculpted by nature itself. Some fused trees survive for centuries, standing as quiet reminders of the slow but remarkable processes taking place within the forest. To someone walking beneath them, they may look like ordinary trees. But closer inspection reveals a fascinating story written patiently over decades. Nature rarely rushes, and these joined trees show just how extraordinary time can be when measured in centuries instead of days. Fact 14. Forest nights are completely different from forest days. As evening arrives, the forest begins one of its most peaceful transformations. Daytime animals gradually become quiet, while creatures of the night slowly awaken. Birdsong becomes less frequent as many birds settle into safe places among the branches to rest until sunrise. Meanwhile, owls silently leave their daytime hiding places. Their soft feathers allow them to fly with remarkably little sound through the darkness. Bats emerge from hollow trees and caves, searching for insects beneath the moonlit canopy. Tiny frogs begin calling from ponds and streams, their gentle voices blending with the steady chorus of crickets. Many nocturnal mammals, such as foxes and raccoons, become active only after darkness provides protection from larger predators. Moonlight filters through gaps in the leaves, creating soft silver patterns that slowly shift across the forest floor as the night progresses. The cooler temperatures of night often produce mist, adding another layer of quiet beauty to the landscape. Even though visibility decreases, the forest remains just as alive as during the day, only its residents have changed. For those who pause to listen, a nighttime forest offers a completely different symphony, one filled with calm, mystery, and gentle rhythms. Fact 15. Every tree begins as a tiny seed. It is difficult to believe that the tallest tree in a forest once fit easily into the palm of a hand. Every great oak, towering pine, graceful maple, or giant redwood starts life as a tiny seed carrying all the information needed to build an enormous living organism. When conditions are just right, moisture softens the seed's protective shell, allowing the first small root to emerge. That root grows downward into the soil, searching patiently for water and stability before the young shoot reaches toward the sunlight. The first leaves are usually small and delicate, gathering just enough energy to support further growth. Young seedlings face many challenges. Strong winds, hungry animals, dry weather, and competition from surrounding plants all test their ability to survive. Only a small percentage of seeds will eventually become mature trees, making every successful giant an extraordinary achievement. As the years pass, each growing tree slowly expands its roots, strengthens its trunk, and stretches its branches higher into the sky. Decades later, that once tiny seed may itself produce thousands of new seeds, beginning the cycle again for future generations. Every magnificent forest, no matter how ancient or vast, ultimately began with countless tiny seeds quietly reaching toward the light. Fact 16. Forest streams are the lifelines of the woods. Deep within many forests, small streams quietly wind their way between rocks, roots, and fallen branches. They may seem gentle and unimportant, but these flowing ribbons of water are among the forest's greatest treasures. A forest stream often begins as rain or melting snow that slowly seeps into the ground. Protected by thick layers of soil and roots, the water remains cool and clear as it begins its peaceful journey downhill. The shade from tall trees helps keep these streams much cooler than rivers flowing through open landscapes. Many fish, amphibians, and insects depend on these cool temperatures to survive. Tree roots along the banks help prevent erosion by holding the soil firmly in place. Even during heavy rain, these natural anchors reduce the amount of dirt washing into the water. Fallen branches and logs create small pools where tiny fish can hide from predators and where insects lay their eggs in calm water. Deer, foxes, bears, birds, and countless other animals visit forest streams each day for fresh drinking water. Some come at sunrise, while others wait quietly until nightfall. The gentle sound of flowing water has a calming effect on many people. Scientists believe that natural water sounds can help reduce stress and encourage relaxation. Streams also carry nutrients throughout the forest, connecting distant parts of the ecosystem like nature's own network of tiny highways. During autumn, colorful leaves float slowly along the current, creating peaceful scenes that have inspired artists and writers for generations. Every forest stream reminds us that even the smallest flow of water can support an entire world of life. Fact 17. Birds are the forest's morning musicians. Long before the sun fully rises, the forest begins to awaken with music. One by one, birds greet the coming day with songs that echo gently through the trees. This beautiful event is known as the dawn chorus. It usually begins while the sky is still dim, when the air is calm and sound travels especially well. Each bird species has its own unique voice. Robins sing cheerful melodies, thrushes produce flute-like notes, and woodpeckers create rhythmic drumming instead of traditional songs. Male birds often sing to establish their territory and attract mates, but their songs also help other birds recognize friends and neighbors. Some birds can learn hundreds of different song variations during their lifetimes, practicing them year after year. Dense forests create wonderful natural acoustics. Tree trunks reflect sound while leaves soften echoes, allowing songs to travel surprisingly far without becoming harsh. Even after the morning chorus ends, birds continue communicating with quieter calls throughout the day to warn of danger or keep track of family members. Young birds spend weeks listening carefully to adults before learning to sing properly themselves, much like children learning to speak. Every sunrise becomes a new concert, never exactly the same as the day before, because different birds join, leave, or change their songs with the seasons. The next time you hear birds welcoming the morning, remember that you are listening to one of nature's oldest daily traditions. Fact 18. Fog gives forests a dreamlike appearance. On cool mornings, forests sometimes awaken beneath a blanket of soft white fog. The familiar landscape suddenly feels mysterious, peaceful, and almost magical. Fog forms when moist air cools enough for tiny droplets of water to gather and float gently above the ground. Because forests are often cooler and more humid than open fields, they provide ideal conditions for fog to develop, especially near streams and valleys. As sunlight slowly filters through the mist, golden beams appear between the trees, creating glowing columns of light that seem almost unreal. Branches fade gently into the distance, making nearby trees appear sharp while those farther away become soft silhouettes. Animals often continue their daily routines as if nothing has changed. Deer quietly graze, birds sing from hidden branches, and squirrels climb through the mist with remarkable confidence. Spider webs become especially beautiful during foggy mornings. Tiny droplets collect along each strand, turning delicate webs into sparkling works of art. Photographers often describe fog as nature's soft filter because it gently blends colors and reduces harsh shadows. As the sun climbs higher, the mist slowly disappears, revealing the forest exactly as it was before, but somehow it feels slightly different after wearing its temporary veil. For a short while each morning, fog transforms an ordinary forest into a peaceful dreamscape where every step feels calm and unhurried. Fact 19. Woodpeckers are nature's skilled carpenters. Among the many birds living in forests, few are as hard-working as woodpeckers. Their rhythmic tapping is one of the most recognizable sounds beneath the trees. At first, the rapid knocking may sound like someone gently hammering on wood. In reality, a woodpecker is using its powerful beak to search for insects hidden deep inside tree bark. Special muscles and a reinforced skull help protect the bird's brain from the repeated impacts, allowing it to peck thousands of times each day. Its long, sticky tongue can extend far into narrow tunnels, reaching insects that other birds cannot access. Woodpeckers also carve nesting cavities inside dead or aging trees. These carefully made homes protect their eggs and chicks from many predators. After the young birds leave, these hollow spaces become valuable homes for owls, squirrels, bats, songbirds, and other forest animals. In this way, one woodpecker may create shelter for many different species over several years. Their strong feet and stiff tail feathers allow them to climb vertically up tree trunks with remarkable balance. Each species has its own pecking rhythm, and experienced birdwatchers can sometimes identify a woodpecker simply by listening carefully. The steady tapping echoing through the forest is more than just a sound. It's the quiet work of one of nature's most skilled builders. Fact 20. Forests change beautifully with every season. One of the most wonderful qualities of a forest is that it never stays exactly the same. As the seasons pass, the woodland quietly transforms again and again. In spring, tiny buds begin opening on branches that appeared lifeless during winter. Fresh green leaves unfold, and colorful wildflowers bloom across the forest floor. Summer brings full canopies of leaves that create cool shade beneath the trees. Birds raise their young, insects buzz through warm air, and streams flow gently through the lush landscape. Autumn paints the forest with brilliant shades of gold, orange, crimson, and deep red. Leaves drift softly to the ground, forming colorful carpets beneath every tree. Many animals gather food during this season, preparing carefully for the colder months ahead. Winter covers many forests with snow and frost, creating peaceful scenes where every sound seems softer and every step becomes quieter. Evergreen trees remain green throughout the year, providing shelter for wildlife even during the coldest weather. Although some trees appear asleep during winter, they are quietly conserving energy until warmer days return. Each season supports different plants, animals, and natural events, ensuring that the forest is always changing while remaining beautifully familiar. No matter when you visit, the forest has a new story to tell, one written slowly through sunlight, rain, wind, and the endless passage of time. Fact 21. Mushrooms are the forest's hidden recyclers. After a gentle rainfall, the forest floor often seems to change overnight. Small mushrooms quietly appear beside old logs, beneath fallen leaves, and around the bases of ancient trees. They may only last for a few days, but their work continues long after they disappear. Although we usually notice the mushroom itself, it is only the fruiting body of a much larger organism. Beneath the soil lies a vast network of tiny threads called mycelium, stretching silently through the forest. These delicate threads slowly break down dead wood, fallen branches, and old leaves. In doing so, they release valuable nutrients back into the soil where new plants can use them. Without fungi, forests would gradually become buried beneath centuries of fallen trees and leaves. Nature's recycling system would slow dramatically, and new growth would struggle to find the nutrients it needs. Some mushrooms grow in partnership with tree roots. The fungi help trees absorb water and minerals from the soil, while the trees provide the fungi with sugars made through photosynthesis. Scientists continue discovering new fungal species every year. Many remain hidden because they spend most of their lives underground, revealing themselves only when conditions are just right. The shapes of mushrooms are wonderfully diverse. Some resemble tiny umbrellas, others look like coral, cups, stars, or even delicate shells growing from tree trunks. Many animals rely on fungi as food. Deer, squirrels, insects, and countless tiny organisms all play a role in spreading fungal spores throughout the forest. Even after a mushroom fades away, the hidden mycelium continues quietly expanding beneath the earth, connecting one part of the forest to another. Though they often go unnoticed, fungi are among the forest's most important caretakers, patiently turning yesterday's forest into tomorrow's life. Fact 22. Deer move through forests like gentle shadows. Early in the morning or just before sunset, you may catch a glimpse of one of the forest's most graceful residents. A deer steps softly between the trees, almost silent as it moves through the woodland. Its large ears constantly rotate, listening for the faintest sounds of approaching danger. Even a snapping twig far away can quickly capture its attention. Large, gentle eyes help the deer notice movement from many directions. Although its eyesight differs from ours, it is well suited to detecting motion in the forest. Every step is placed carefully. Soft hooves allow deer to walk quietly across leaves, moss, and forest soil without making much noise. Deer spend much of their day feeding on leaves, grasses, shoots, berries, and tender branches. Different seasons bring different meals, and they adjust their diet throughout the year. Young fawns are born with white spots that help them blend into patches of sunlight filtering through the trees, making them difficult for predators to see. During autumn, male deer may gently clash their antlers while competing for mates. These antlers are remarkable because they are grown and shed every year. As deer travel, they unknowingly help the forest by spreading seeds caught in their fur or carried through their digestive system. Many predators, scavengers, insects, and plants are connected to deer in one way or another, making them an important part of the forest ecosystem. Watching a deer disappear quietly into the trees reminds us that true grace often reveals itself in calm, gentle movements rather than speed or strength. Fact 23. Forest fires can sometimes help forests grow. The word fire often brings thoughts of destruction, and large, uncontrolled wildfires can certainly cause great damage. Yet in some forests, small natural fires have played an important role for thousands of years. Long before humans managed forests, lightning occasionally started fires during dry seasons. These fires usually moved slowly across the forest floor, clearing away dry leaves and fallen branches. By removing this layer of dead material, low-intensity fires reduced the amount of fuel available for future, more severe fires. Some tree species have evolved remarkable adaptations to survive these natural events. Thick bark protects their trunks from moderate heat, allowing many mature trees to remain standing. Certain pine cones even require heat before they will open and release their seeds. Without occasional fires, these trees might struggle to reproduce successfully. After a fire passes, sunlight reaches the ground more easily, giving young plants an opportunity to grow where dense shade once covered the forest floor. The ash left behind contains minerals that enrich the soil, helping new vegetation establish itself during the following months. Wildlife often returns surprisingly quickly. Fresh grasses attract grazing animals, while insects and birds soon recolonize the recovering landscape. Scientists carefully distinguish between natural, beneficial fire cycles and the increasingly severe wildfires that can result from extreme weather and other changing conditions. Nature reminds us that renewal sometimes begins with change, and in certain forests, carefully balanced fire has long been part of life's continuing cycle. Fact 24. Tiny seeds can travel great distances. Every towering forest begins with countless tiny seeds searching for a suitable place to grow. But before they can become trees, they must first complete an extraordinary journey. Some seeds drift through the air using delicate wings that spin gently like miniature helicopters. Even a light breeze can carry them far from the parent tree. Other seeds are equipped with silky fibers that act like tiny parachutes, allowing the wind to lift them high above the forest. Many trees rely on animals instead. Birds eat fruits and later deposit the seeds elsewhere, often many kilometers away. Squirrels gather nuts and bury them as winter food supplies. Surprisingly, they do not remember every hiding place, allowing forgotten seeds to sprout into new trees. Some seeds cling to animal fur using tiny hooks, hitching a ride until they eventually fall off in a different location. Rivers and streams also transport seeds downstream, carrying them to new forests and riverbanks. Even gravity plays its part, simply allowing heavy seeds like acorns to fall beneath the parent tree, where some may still find enough light and space to grow. Only a small number of seeds will survive long enough to become mature trees, but forests produce millions of them every year, ensuring that the cycle continues. Every mighty forest giant once depended upon a tiny seed making a successful journey through the world. Fact 25. Forests inspire human imagination. For thousands of years, forests have inspired stories, songs, paintings, and legends across nearly every culture on Earth. Their beauty and mystery have captured human imagination since ancient times. People have walked beneath towering trees and wondered what might lie beyond the next bend in the path. That sense of gentle curiosity has shaped countless tales passed from one generation to the next. Many fairy tales begin in forests, where heroes set out on adventures and discover wisdom, friendship, or courage among the trees. Artists often paint forests because the changing light, rich colors, and peaceful scenery create endless opportunities for creativity. Poets describe forests as places of reflection, where the quiet surroundings help people slow their thoughts and notice life's simple beauty. Musicians have even tried to recreate the sounds of forests using instruments, capturing the gentle rustling of leaves, birdsong, and flowing streams. Scientists, too, find inspiration in forests. Every expedition into a woodland may reveal a new species, an unusual behavior, or another fascinating mystery waiting to be understood. For many people, simply walking beneath the trees provides a welcome break from the busy pace of everyday life. The steady rhythm of nature encourages calmness and quiet observation. Each forest tells a different story, shaped by its climate, its wildlife, and the generations of trees that have grown there over hundreds or even thousands of years. Perhaps that is why forests continue to inspire us today. They remind us that even in a fast-moving world, there are still places where time seems to slow, the air feels fresher, and every step invites peaceful wonder. Fact 26. The forest canopy is a world above the ground. When most people think of a forest, they imagine the paths, the moss, and the towering trunks around them. Yet high above their heads exists another remarkable world that many visitors never truly notice: the forest canopy. The canopy is formed by the uppermost branches and leaves of tall trees, creating a vast green roof that stretches across the woodland. In mature forests, this leafy ceiling can cover hundreds of hectares without interruption. Sunlight reaches the canopy first, making it one of the brightest parts of the forest. Leaves here work tirelessly throughout the day, capturing energy from the sun to fuel the growth of the trees below. Many birds spend nearly their entire lives in this elevated world. They build nests among the branches, search for insects hidden beneath leaves, and rarely need to descend to the forest floor. In tropical forests, scientists have discovered that the canopy contains thousands of unique species found nowhere else. Tiny frogs, colorful insects, orchids, and even small mammals make their homes high above the ground. Some branches become so large that moss, ferns, and other plants grow directly upon them, forming miniature gardens suspended in the air. Researchers sometimes climb enormous trees using ropes and special equipment to study this hidden ecosystem. Every expedition reveals fascinating details about life that most people never have the chance to see. The canopy also protects the forest beneath it by reducing the force of heavy rain, softening strong winds, and creating cool shade for younger plants growing below. During sunrise and sunset, the highest leaves glow with golden light, while the forest floor remains peaceful and dim, creating one of nature's most beautiful scenes. Though it may seem distant from the ground, the canopy is an essential part of the forest, quietly supporting countless forms of life every single day. Fact 27. Owls are masters of silent flight. As darkness gently settles over the forest, one of its most mysterious hunters begins to awaken. Perched quietly on a branch, an owl waits with remarkable patience, listening to the sounds of the night. Unlike many birds, an owl can fly with almost complete silence. Special feathers along the edges of its wings break up the movement of air, greatly reducing the sound normally created during flight. This silent approach allows owls to hunt without alerting their prey. Small mammals may never hear the owl until it has already arrived. An owl's large eyes gather far more light than human eyes, helping it see in the dim conditions beneath the moon and stars. Although it cannot see perfectly in complete darkness, its night vision is extraordinary. Its hearing is even more impressive. Many owl species have ears positioned at slightly different heights on each side of the head, allowing them to locate sounds with remarkable precision. Even beneath fresh snow or thick leaves, an owl can sometimes detect the tiny movements of a mouse hidden below. Despite their hunting skills, owls spend much of their time resting quietly. During daylight hours, many remain perfectly still against tree trunks where their feathers blend naturally with the bark. Their gentle hooting carries through the forest at night, serving as both a territorial call and a way of communicating with other owls. For centuries, people have admired owls for their calm appearance and mysterious behavior, often associating them with wisdom and quiet observation. As the moon rises above the trees, the silent flight of an owl becomes one of the forest's most peaceful nighttime spectacles. Fact 28. Lichens grow with extraordinary patience. Some of the oldest living communities in a forest are so small that they often go unnoticed. Covering rocks, branches, and tree bark are delicate organisms known as lichens. A lichen is not a single organism, but a partnership between a fungus and tiny algae or bacteria. Together, they help one another survive in places where neither could thrive alone. The fungus provides shelter and absorbs moisture, while the algae use sunlight to produce food through photosynthesis. Many lichens grow incredibly slowly. Some expand by only a few millimeters each year, making patience one of their greatest strengths. Because they are sensitive to pollution, lichens are often used by scientists as natural indicators of air quality. Healthy forests frequently support a rich variety of these fascinating organisms. Their colors range from pale gray and bright green to golden yellow, deep orange, and even soft blue, adding subtle beauty to tree trunks and stones. Some resemble tiny leafy plants, while others form delicate crusts that cling tightly to rock surfaces. Reindeer and other animals depend on certain lichens as an important food source during winter when fresh vegetation becomes scarce. Despite their fragile appearance, many lichens survive freezing temperatures, strong sunlight, and long periods without rain before becoming active again when moisture returns. These quiet, patient organisms remind us that life does not always need to grow quickly to become successful. Fact 29. Squirrels are the forest's forgetful gardeners. Few animals are as energetic as squirrels. Throughout the forest, they spend much of their day climbing trees, gathering food, and preparing for the colder months ahead. Autumn is especially busy. As nuts and seeds become plentiful, squirrels collect far more than they can eat immediately. To prepare for winter, they bury thousands of acorns, walnuts, pine seeds, and other food items in many different locations across the forest. Their excellent memory helps them recover many of these hidden supplies, even months later beneath fallen leaves or snow. However, no squirrel remembers every single hiding place. The forgotten seeds remain safely buried in rich soil, protected from many hungry animals and harsh weather. When spring arrives, some of these forgotten seeds begin to germinate, sending tiny roots into the earth and small green shoots toward the sunlight. Over many years, a single squirrel may unknowingly help establish dozens or even hundreds of new trees simply by forgetting part of its winter pantry. Scientists consider squirrels important seed dispersers because their natural behavior contributes to forest regeneration. Every playful squirrel racing along a branch may also be quietly helping shape the future forest for generations yet to come. Fact 30. Forests store the stories of time. Every forest is much more than a collection of trees. It is a living record of countless seasons, storms, and generations that have come and gone. Each tree ring marks another year of growth, preserving evidence of wet summers, dry seasons, cold winters, and favorable years when conditions were just right. Layers of soil beneath the forest also preserve history. Fallen leaves become rich organic matter, gradually building fertile ground over hundreds or even thousands of years. Old stumps reveal where giant trees once stood long before today's young saplings appeared. Ancient pollen trapped in lakes and wetlands allow scientists to reconstruct forests that existed thousands of years ago, helping us understand how landscapes have changed over time. Even fallen logs tell stories, showing where insects fed, fungi grew, and new seedlings eventually took root. Some forests have survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, powerful storms, and changing climates, adapting slowly through the centuries. Generations of animals have raised their young beneath the same towering trees, each leaving subtle traces that become part of the forest's continuing history. When we walk quietly through a woodland today, we are not simply visiting a place. We are stepping into a story that has been unfolding for far longer than any human lifetime. And as the breeze gently stirs the leaves overhead, the forest continues writing its next chapter, one peaceful season at a time. Fact 31. Ferns have been on Earth since before the dinosaurs. As you wander quietly through the forest, you may notice elegant green plants with delicate, feathery leaves growing in the shade. These are ferns, and although they appear gentle and modern, they belong to one of the oldest groups of plants still living on Earth. Long before flowering plants filled forests with colorful blossoms, ferns were already spreading across ancient landscapes. They have survived enormous changes in Earth's history, including the rise and fall of the dinosaurs. Unlike most familiar plants, ferns do not produce flowers, fruits, or seeds. Instead, they reproduce using tiny spores, which are so light that even a gentle breeze can carry them to new places. If you look closely beneath the leaves of some ferns, you may find small brown dots arranged in neat patterns. These are clusters of spore-producing structures that help begin the next generation. Young fern leaves emerge in a fascinating way. Each new leaf begins tightly curled, slowly unfolding like the scroll of an ancient book as it grows toward the sunlight. Ferns thrive in cool, damp forests where the air remains moist for much of the year. Their broad leaves capture gentle sunlight, filtering through the canopy above. Many insects, frogs, and small forest creatures hide among the soft fronds, finding shelter from predators and harsh weather. Some fern species grow only a few centimeters tall, while others become towering tree ferns that reach several meters high in tropical forests. Because ferns have remained successful for hundreds of millions of years, they remind us that nature often rewards patience, resilience, and quiet adaptation. As the breeze gently moves through their graceful leaves, these ancient plants continue telling a story that began long before humans ever walked beneath the trees. Fact 32. Forest roots form a hidden underground maze. While towering trunks reach high into the sky, an equally impressive part of every tree remains completely hidden beneath the ground. A tree's root system quietly spreads through the soil, searching for water, nutrients, and stability. In many forests, these roots create an intricate underground maze that stretches farther than most people imagine. Some roots grow deep into the earth, anchoring the tree against powerful winds and heavy storms. Others spread widely just beneath the surface, where rainwater and nutrients are most abundant after gentle showers. As roots expand over many decades, they often weave around rocks, fallen logs, and even the roots of neighboring trees. Tiny root hairs increase the surface area available for absorbing water, making the process incredibly efficient despite their microscopic size. These roots also form partnerships with fungi, allowing trees to gather minerals that would otherwise remain out of reach. When a large tree finally falls, its roots slowly decay, leaving behind natural tunnels that improve soil structure and allow air and water to move more easily. Many small animals use these underground spaces as safe pathways beneath the forest floor. Although invisible to us, this hidden network quietly supports every towering tree above, proving that strong foundations are often unseen. Fact 33. Rain sounds different in every forest. Few experiences are as peaceful as standing beneath the trees during a gentle rainfall. The first raindrops usually strike the highest leaves of the canopy, creating soft tapping sounds high above the forest floor. Instead of falling directly to the ground, Much of the rain pauses briefly on branches and leaves before slowly dripping downward. Large maple leaves produce deeper drops, while delicate pine needles create a much finer, whisper-like sound. The rain continues its journey through many layers, becoming a gentle symphony of thousands of tiny droplets landing at slightly different times. Some water runs down rough tree bark before soaking into the earth around the roots. Moss absorbs moisture like a natural sponge, while fallen leaves soften the sound of droplets reaching the ground. Streams become slightly louder as fresh rainwater joins their steady flow through the woodland. Many animals simply continue their daily activities, well adapted to the changing weather that has shaped forests for millions of years. Every forest has its own rainy melody, and no two woodlands ever sound exactly alike when the clouds quietly pass overhead. Fact 34. Butterflies bring gentle color to the forest. On warm spring and summer afternoons, flashes of delicate color sometimes drift between the trees. These graceful visitors are butterflies, adding quiet beauty to the forest landscape. Every butterfly begins life as a tiny egg carefully placed upon a suitable plant by its mother. From the egg emerges a caterpillar, whose main purpose is to eat and grow as much as possible before its remarkable transformation. Eventually, the caterpillar forms a chrysalis, where one of nature's most extraordinary changes quietly takes place. Weeks later, an adult butterfly emerges with soft, folded wings that slowly expand as fluids flow through their delicate veins. Once dry, the butterfly takes its first gentle flight among flowers and sunlit clearings. As butterflies feed on nectar, they unknowingly transfer pollen between flowers, helping many forest plants reproduce. Their brightly colored wings also serve important purposes, from attracting mates to warning predators that certain species may taste unpleasant. Butterflies are especially sensitive to changes in temperature, sunlight, and weather, making them useful indicators of healthy ecosystems. Watching one drift peacefully through the forest reminds us that even the smallest creatures can bring extraordinary beauty to the natural world. Fact 35. Every forest has its own personality. Although all forests share certain similarities, no two are ever truly the same. Some forests are filled with towering evergreen trees whose needles remain green throughout the year, creating a calm and steady landscape in every season. Others are dominated by broadleaf trees that transform dramatically from fresh spring greens to brilliant autumn colors before resting through winter. Mountain forests experience cool temperatures and frequent mist, while tropical forests remain warm, humid, and filled with astonishing biodiversity. Some woodlands are quiet enough that only birdsong breaks the silence, while others echo with rushing rivers, waterfalls, or the distant calls of wildlife. The soil, climate, elevation, rainfall, and history of each forest combine to create a unique environment unlike any other. Even forests located only a few kilometers apart may support completely different collections of plants, insects, birds, and mammals. Season after season, these differences become even more noticeable as each forest responds to changing weather in its own way. This remarkable diversity is one of the reasons scientists continue exploring forests around the world, discovering new relationships and fascinating adaptations. Just like people, every forest has its own character, its own rhythm, and its own peaceful story waiting to be experienced by those who take the time to slow down and listen. Fact 36. The forest is always growing. At first glance, an old forest may appear unchanged, as though it has looked exactly the same for hundreds of years. Yet every moment, from sunrise to sunset, and throughout the quiet night, the forest is constantly growing and changing. Tiny buds slowly swell on branches as new leaves prepare to unfold. Fresh roots stretch deeper into the soil, searching patiently for water and nutrients hidden beneath the ground. Young saplings gain only a few millimeters in height each day, a change too small for us to notice. But over months and years, those tiny steps become towering trunks reaching toward the sky. Leaves quietly produce food through photosynthesis, sending energy throughout the tree so that every branch, twig, and root continues to develop. Even fallen logs are changing. Fungi slowly soften the wood while insects carve tiny tunnels, beginning the long process of returning nutrients to the soil. Moss gradually spreads across rocks and old stumps, covering them with a soft green blanket that grows almost invisibly. Wildflowers bloom, produce seeds, and gently fade away, making room for the next generation of plants. Birds build nests, raise their young, and eventually leave, while new families arrive to continue the endless rhythm of forest life. To human eyes, the forest may seem still, but in truth it is one of the busiest living communities on Earth. Its greatest changes happen quietly, reminding us that remarkable growth often takes place without making the slightest sound. Fact 37. Acorns hold the potential of mighty oaks. If you pick up an acorn during an autumn walk, it may seem surprisingly ordinary. It fits comfortably in your hand and weighs only a few grams. Yet hidden inside is the complete blueprint for a magnificent oak tree. Protected by its smooth shell and small cap, the seed waits patiently until conditions are just right. When autumn rains soften the soil, some acorns begin sending their first tiny roots downward before winter fully arrives. Others remain dormant until spring, safely resting beneath fallen leaves that protect them from freezing temperatures. Many woodland animals gather acorns as valuable winter food. Squirrels, blue jays, mice, and deer all depend on them during colder months. Not every acorn is eaten. Forgotten ones remain buried beneath the soil, where they may eventually begin growing into young oak trees. During the first years of life, an oak invests much of its energy in developing strong roots rather than growing tall. These deep foundations allow the tree to survive droughts, storms, and changing seasons for generations to come. Centuries later, that tiny acorn may become a giant tree providing shade, shelter, food, and nesting places for hundreds of different species. Every enormous oak standing proudly in the forest began as one small seed filled with quiet possibility. Fact 38. Forest animals follow invisible highways. To us, a forest may appear completely wild, with no roads or paths beyond the hiking trails we can see. But for its animal residents, the forest is filled with invisible highways that have been used for generations. Deer often follow the same narrow routes as they travel between feeding areas and safe resting places. Foxes patrol familiar paths while searching for food during the early morning and evening hours. Bears may walk many kilometers through the forest, remembering reliable routes to berry patches, streams, and seasonal food sources. Even tiny mice and chipmunks create small pathways beneath leaves and fallen branches where they can move quickly while staying hidden. Birds also have invisible routes through the canopy, flying between favorite nesting trees and feeding locations. Many migrating animals return to the same forest year after year, following instincts that have guided their species for thousands of years. These pathways connect different parts of the ecosystem, allowing animals to find food, water, shelter, and mates while avoiding unnecessary dangers. Although human visitors may never notice them, These hidden highways are among the oldest transportation networks in the natural world. Fact 39. Tree bark is more than just protection. When we look at a tree, we often admire its leaves or towering height, but the bark covering its trunk is just as remarkable. Bark acts like the tree's protective armor, shielding the delicate living tissues beneath from insects, fungi, harsh weather, and physical damage. Different tree species have their own distinctive bark. Some are smooth and pale, while others are deeply ridged, flaky, or covered with thick plates. As a tree grows larger each year, its bark slowly expands and changes, creating beautiful patterns that become more complex with age. Many insects spend their entire lives hidden beneath loose pieces of bark, safely protected from predators. Woodpeckers carefully inspect bark for hidden insects, tapping gently as they search for their next meal. Mosses and lichens often grow across older bark, adding soft shades of green, gray, and silver to ancient trunks. Some trees naturally shed their bark in thin strips or large plates, revealing fresh layers beneath. Scientists can often identify tree species simply by studying their bark, even during winter when no leaves remain. Far from being just an outer covering, bark is an essential part of every tree's survival and one more example of nature's thoughtful design. Fact 40. Forests teach the value of patience. In today's fast-moving world, we often expect immediate results. Yet the forest follows a completely different rhythm, one measured not in minutes or days, but in seasons and centuries. A tree does not rush to become tall. It grows one ring at a time, adding only a small amount each year. A seedling may spend many years living quietly beneath the canopy before enough sunlight reaches it to grow more rapidly. Moss slowly spreads across stones over decades, creating soft green carpets that seem almost timeless. Fungi patiently break down fallen wood, returning nutrients to the soil little by little. Streams gradually shape valleys, wearing away solid rock through countless gentle movements rather than sudden force. Birds return each spring, building nests with hundreds of small twigs collected one at a time. Every autumn, leaves fall peacefully to the ground, becoming the rich soil that will nourish future forests. Nothing in the woodland seems hurried, yet everything important is accomplished with remarkable precision. Perhaps that is one of the forest's greatest lessons. Lasting beauty, quiet strength, and steady growth often come not from rushing ahead, but from patiently allowing nature to take its course. Fact 41. Fallen leaves build the forest of tomorrow. Every autumn, millions of leaves gently drift from the branches above, covering the forest floor in shades of gold, amber, crimson, and brown. At first, it may seem as though the trees are simply letting something go, but these fallen leaves are quietly beginning an important new journey. Each leaf once worked hard throughout the spring and summer, capturing sunlight and producing energy for the tree. Even after its work is finished, the leaf continues serving the forest in another way. Rain slowly softens the leaves, making them easier for fungi, bacteria, and tiny insects to break down. This process happens gradually over many months, almost unnoticed by anyone walking through the woods. As the leaves decompose, they release valuable nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus back into the soil. These nutrients become food for young plants, flowers, and growing trees. The thick layer of leaves also acts like a natural blanket, protecting the soil from freezing temperatures during winter and helping it stay cool during the summer. Many small animals make their homes beneath this leafy carpet. Salamanders, beetles, spiders, worms, and countless insects find shelter where they are protected from predators and harsh weather. The leaves help the forest hold moisture after rainfall, reducing evaporation and keeping the ground damp for longer periods. Without this yearly blanket, the forest soil would gradually lose many of the nutrients needed to support healthy plant life. Every leaf that quietly falls eventually becomes part of the next generation of the forest, continuing a cycle that has repeated itself for millions of years. What appears to be an ending is really another peaceful beginning, proving that nothing in nature is ever truly wasted. Fact 42. Beaver dams can transform an entire forest. In some forests, one hard-working animal has the ability to reshape the entire landscape. That remarkable engineer is the beaver. Using only its strong teeth, powerful tail, and endless determination, a beaver cuts small trees and branches to build dams across flowing streams. These carefully constructed dams slow the movement of water, allowing it to spread out and form peaceful ponds. As the water rises, new habitats appear almost as if by magic. Frogs begin laying eggs in the calm shallows, ducks arrive to nest nearby, and fish find deeper pools in which to live. Wetlands created by beaver dams also provide drinking water for deer, moose, bears, and countless birds throughout the year. Over time, the surrounding soil becomes richer and remains moist for longer periods, allowing many different plants to flourish. Even after beavers leave an area, the ponds they created may continue supporting wildlife for many years before slowly returning to forest. Scientists often refer to beavers as ecosystem engineers because their activities influence so many other species living around them. Few animals have such a profound effect on the landscape while simply carrying out their everyday lives. The quiet work of a beaver reminds us that even small builders can create lasting changes that benefit an entire community. Fact 43. Pine cones are tiny masterpieces of nature. Scattered across many forest floors are pine cones of every shape and size. They may seem ordinary at first, but each one is an elegant piece of natural engineering. A pine cone's main purpose is to protect the seeds hidden safely between its wooden scales. While the seeds are developing, the cone remains tightly closed, shielding them from rain, insects, and hungry animals. As conditions become warm and dry, many pine cones slowly open, allowing the seeds to escape and drift away on the wind. When the weather becomes damp again, some species close their scales once more, helping protect any remaining seeds. The beautiful spiral pattern found on many pine cones follows mathematical arrangements that also appear in sunflowers, pineapples, and other plants. Scientists study these natural patterns because they help maximize space while using materials efficiently. Squirrels, crossbills, and other forest animals skillfully open pine cones to reach the nutritious seeds hidden inside. Even after releasing their seeds, old pine cones continue contributing to the forest by slowly decomposing into the soil. The next time you hold a pine cone, remember that it once protected the future of an entire tree inside its carefully designed structure. Fact 44. Morning dew brings the forest to life. Before the sun fully rises, countless tiny droplets appear across the forest. Leaves sparkle, spider webs shimmer, and blades of grass glisten like they have been covered with tiny diamonds. This beautiful display is called morning dew. As nighttime temperatures cool, moisture in the air condenses into tiny droplets on cool surfaces throughout the forest. The first rays of sunlight transform these droplets into brilliant points of light that seem to twinkle with every gentle breeze. Many insects take advantage of dew by drinking directly from the tiny droplets before the day's warmth causes them to disappear. Small spiders often find their delicate webs decorated with perfectly spaced beads of water, revealing intricate designs that are nearly invisible later in the day. Young plants also benefit from this extra moisture, especially during periods when rainfall has been limited. Photographers frequently visit forests just after sunrise because dew creates some of nature's most breathtaking scenes. Within only a few hours, the warmth of the morning sun causes most of the droplets to evaporate quietly back into the atmosphere. Although dew lasts only a short time each day, it adds another gentle rhythm to the peaceful life of the forest. Fact 45. Ancient forests are living time capsules. Some forests have remained largely undisturbed for hundreds or even thousands of years. These ancient woodlands are among the rarest and most valuable ecosystems on Earth. Unlike younger forests, ancient forests contain trees of many different ages growing side by side. Massive old trees stand beside younger generations, while fallen giants slowly return their nutrients to the soil below. Layers of moss, fungi, and rich organic matter build up over centuries, creating ideal conditions for an incredible variety of life. Many rare plants, birds, insects, and mammals depend specifically on these mature habitats and struggle to survive elsewhere. Scientists continue discovering species that exist only within old-growth forests, highlighting how much there is still to learn. The complex structure of ancient forests provides countless hiding places, nesting sites, and food sources that younger forests have not yet developed. Walking through an old-growth forest often feels different from entering a younger woodland. The towering trees, quiet atmosphere, and deep layers of moss create a sense of timelessness. Some of these forests began growing long before modern cities, roads, or even entire countries existed. Every ancient forest is a living time capsule, quietly preserving centuries of natural history while continuing to support life far into the future. Fact 46. Tiny ants build great forest cities. If you pause beside a fallen log or a patch of soft soil, you may notice a line of tiny ants moving with remarkable purpose. Though each ant is very small, together they form one of the forest's most organized communities. An ant colony may contain thousands, or even hundreds of thousands, of individuals working together as one living society. Every ant has a role, from gathering food to caring for young or defending the nest. Deep beneath the forest floor, ants construct intricate tunnels and chambers. These underground homes remain cool during summer and offer protection throughout the changing seasons. Worker ants spend much of their day searching for seeds, insects, and bits of plant material. When one discovers a valuable food source, it leaves a chemical trail that helps its companions find the same location. Although each ant has a tiny brain, the colony as a whole solves surprisingly complex problems through cooperation rather than individual planning. As ants dig their tunnels, they loosen and mix the soil. This improves air circulation underground and allows rainwater to reach plant roots more easily. Many forest plants benefit from ants carrying their seeds. Some seeds even have small nutrient-rich attachments that attract ants, encouraging them to transport the seeds to new locations. Birds, frogs, spiders, and many other animals rely on ants as an important source of food, making them a vital link in the forest food web. Even after millions of years of evolution, scientists continue studying ants because their teamwork is so remarkably efficient. The next time you notice a tiny ant crossing the forest floor, remember that it may be helping build an entire hidden city beneath your feet. Fact 47. Moonlight gives the forest a silver glow. When the sun finally slips below the horizon, darkness slowly settles over the forest. But on clear nights, the moon gently transforms the woodland into a peaceful landscape filled with soft silver light. Unlike sunlight, moonlight is actually sunlight reflected from the moon's surface. Although much dimmer, it is bright enough to illuminate tree trunks, leaves, and winding forest paths. The shadows become longer and softer than they are during the day. Every branch seems to create delicate patterns across the ground. Many animals have evolved to take advantage of this gentle nighttime light. Deer often feed in open clearings, while foxes quietly explore beneath the trees. Owls glide silently from branch to branch, using both their exceptional hearing and the faint glow of the moon to hunt. Some flowers bloom only after sunset, attracting moths and other nighttime pollinators that are active while the forest sleeps. Streams reflect the moonlight like polished ribbons of silver, creating peaceful scenes that have inspired storytellers for centuries. As clouds slowly drift across the sky, the brightness changes constantly, making the forest appear to breathe with light and shadow. For hikers fortunate enough to experience a moonlit woodland safely, the atmosphere often feels calm, mysterious, and deeply relaxing. Under the gentle glow of the moon, the forest reveals a quieter side of its beauty, one that belongs entirely to the peaceful hours of the night. Fact 48. Spider webs are natural works of art. Early in the morning, especially after a cool night, delicate spider webs become visible throughout the forest. Covered with tiny droplets of dew, they sparkle like miniature necklaces hanging between branches. Every web begins with a single thread. A spider releases fine silk into the breeze, allowing the wind to carry it until it catches onto a nearby branch or leaf. Once the first line is secured, the spider carefully walks back and forth, strengthening the framework before adding more threads. Some webs are nearly perfect circles, while others resemble messy tangles or delicate sheets stretched across low plants. Spider silk is one of the strongest natural materials known for its weight. A thread thinner than a human hair is remarkably flexible and surprisingly durable. Most spiders patiently wait near the center of their webs or hide nearby, sensing tiny vibrations whenever an insect touches the silk. Many spiders rebuild their webs every day, recycling the old silk by eating it before spinning a fresh one. Although insects may fear these delicate traps, spider webs help control insect populations, contributing to the balance of the forest ecosystem. Scientists study spider silk in hopes of creating new materials that combine incredible strength with remarkable flexibility. Each shimmering web reminds us that even the smallest forest creatures are capable of creating extraordinary beauty. Fact 49. Hollow trees become homes for many animals. As trees grow older, storms, insects, fungi, and the passing years sometimes create natural hollows inside their trunks. Rather than becoming useless, these ancient trees begin serving an entirely new purpose. A hollow tree is like an apartment building in the middle of the forest, providing shelter for many different species. Woodpeckers often create the first cavities by chiseling into softened wood. Once they leave, other birds quickly move into the empty space. Owls, bluebirds, ducks, and small songbirds may all raise their young inside these protected chambers. Bats spend their days resting within hollow trunks before emerging at dusk to hunt insects beneath the evening sky. Squirrels store food inside tree hollows, creating safe winter pantries hidden from many predators. Some insects spend their entire lives inside decaying wood, while frogs and salamanders seek cool shelter during hot summer days. The thick walls of an old tree help protect its residents from rain, snow, strong winds, and sudden temperature changes. For this reason, standing dead trees are often just as valuable to wildlife as living ones, supporting an amazing variety of forest life. Every hollow trunk quietly reminds us that age often brings new purpose, allowing one tree to continue giving life long after its growing years have passed. Fact 50. Forests remind us to slow down. Perhaps the greatest gift a forest offers is not something we can hold in our hands. It is something we feel within ourselves. Life inside the forest follows a gentle rhythm that has remained largely unchanged for countless generations. Trees do not hurry toward the sky, streams do not rush without reason, and the changing seasons arrive exactly when they are meant to. Walking beneath the canopy naturally encourages slower steps. Our attention shifts from busy thoughts to birdsong, rustling leaves, and the peaceful scent of fresh earth. The sunlight filtering through the branches reminds us that beauty often appears quietly rather than demanding attention. Even a few moments spent listening to the breeze can help us notice details that are easily overlooked in everyday life. Every leaf, feather, mushroom, and flower has its own small story, patiently waiting for someone to observe it. The forest asks for nothing except our respect and our willingness to pause for a while. Long after we leave, the woodland continues its quiet work, growing, changing, and supporting life exactly as it has for millions of years. Perhaps that is why forests have comforted people throughout history. They gently remind us that the world does not need to move quickly in order to be extraordinary. And as our peaceful journey reaches its 50th fact, the forest continues whispering its timeless lesson. Sometimes the calmest path is also the most beautiful one. Fact 51. Forests help keep rivers clean. High in the hills and mountains, many rivers begin their journey in peaceful forests. Before the water reaches towns, cities, and farms, it slowly travels through layers of leaves, roots, moss, and rich soil that naturally help keep it clean. When rain falls onto a forest, it does not simply rush across the ground. Instead, the thick canopy softens the impact of each raindrop, allowing water to fall gently onto the forest floor. The blanket of fallen leaves acts like a giant sponge, absorbing moisture and slowing its movement. This gives the water time to soak deep into the soil rather than carrying dirt away. As water passes through layers of earth, tiny particles become trapped while microorganisms help break down natural waste. By the time much of the water reaches streams, it has already been naturally filtered. Tree roots also hold the soil firmly in place. During heavy rain, these roots reduce erosion, keeping rivers clearer and healthier. Clear water allows sunlight to reach underwater plants, supports fish, and provides safe habitats for frogs, insects, and countless other aquatic creatures. Healthy forests also help reduce flooding by storing large amounts of rainwater and releasing it gradually over time. Many communities around the world depend on forested watersheds for clean drinking water, even if they live many kilometers away from the trees themselves. Scientists often describe forests as natural water filters because of the remarkable way they protect freshwater ecosystems. Every quiet woodland surrounding a stream is performing an important service, patiently caring for water long before it reaches the people and animals who depend on it. Fact 52. The wind speaks differently through every tree. Stand quietly in a forest on a breezy day, close your eyes, and simply listen. You may notice that the wind never sounds exactly the same from one tree to another. As air moves through the long needles of pine trees, it creates a soft whisper that seems almost endless. When the same breeze passes through the broad leaves of maple or oak trees, the sound becomes fuller, with gentle rustles that rise and fall like quiet waves. Tall poplar trees often produce a shimmering sound because their leaves tremble easily, even in light winds. Some branches sway gracefully, while others remain nearly still, creating layers of sound that blend together into a peaceful natural orchestra. The height of the trees also changes the music. The tops of towering giants may be moving in the wind, while the forest floor remains calm and quiet. After rainfall, wet leaves become heavier, changing the tone of the breeze once again. In winter, when many deciduous trees have lost their leaves, the wind flows freely through bare branches, creating a completely different melody. No composer could ever write exactly the same performance twice, because every gust of wind follows its own unique path. Each forest has its own voice, and the wind becomes the gentle storyteller that brings those voices to life. Fact 53. Tiny wildflowers brighten the forest floor. While towering trees often capture our attention, some of the forest's most beautiful treasures grow quietly near our feet. During spring, before the canopy becomes thick with leaves, sunlight reaches the forest floor in abundance. This brief window allows tiny wildflowers to bloom. Plants such as trilliums, violets, bloodroot, and wood anemones cover the woodland with delicate colors that may last only a few short weeks. These early flowers work quickly, producing leaves, blossoms, and seeds before the taller trees cast deep shade over the ground. Bees, butterflies, and other pollinators eagerly visit these blossoms, collecting nectar while carrying pollen from one flower to another. Many wildflowers have developed fascinating relationships with ants, which help carry their seeds to new growing locations. Because their growing season is so short, these plants make the most of every sunny day available. As summer arrives, many disappear completely above ground, surviving quietly beneath the soil until the following spring. Their brief appearance reminds us that some of nature's greatest beauty is also among its most fleeting. For those who slow down and look carefully, the forest floor becomes a colorful garden filled with tiny wonders. Fact 54. Ravens are among the forest's cleverest birds. High above the trees, a large black bird glides effortlessly through the sky. With deep wing beats and a distinctive call, the raven has long fascinated people around the world. Ravens are among the most intelligent birds on Earth. Scientists have observed them solving problems, remembering locations, and even using simple tools in certain situations. They can recognize individual human faces and remember them for surprisingly long periods. Young ravens often play games in the air, rolling upside down, sliding along strong winds, and chasing one another simply for enjoyment. Their loud calls vary greatly, including croaks, clicks, whistles, and gentle knocking sounds used to communicate with other ravens. They are highly adaptable and can thrive in forests, mountains, coastlines, and many other environments. Ravens eat a wide variety of foods, including berries, insects, seeds, small animals, and even carrion, helping keep the forest clean. They often work together in pairs and may remain with the same partner for many years. Many cultures throughout history have included ravens in stories and legends because of their striking appearance and remarkable intelligence. Watching a raven soar effortlessly above the canopy reminds us that wisdom in nature often comes with curiosity and adaptability. Fact 55. Forests never truly sleep. When evening arrives and darkness spreads beneath the trees, it may seem as though the forest has finally gone to sleep. In reality, the woodland simply changes shifts. Daytime birds settle into their nests while owls begin silent patrols beneath the moonlight. As squirrels curl up inside tree hollows, bats emerge to hunt insects in the cool night air. Moths replace butterflies, filling the darkness with quiet movement that most people never notice. Frogs begin singing beside ponds, while crickets create a steady chorus that continues for hours. Many flowers release stronger fragrances after sunset, attracting nighttime pollinators that rarely appear during daylight. Even the trees remain active, continuing to transport water and nutrients through their trunks while quietly growing. Countless microorganisms beneath the soil never stop recycling leaves, branches, and fallen wood into rich new earth. So although the forest may appear peaceful and still beneath the stars, life continues in every direction, proving that nature never truly sleeps. It simply follows a timeless rhythm that continues through every hour of every day. Fact 56. Tree rings tell the story of every year. If you could look inside the trunk of a tree, you would discover a remarkable record of its entire life. Hidden beneath the bark are rings that quietly preserve the story of every passing year. Each spring, when water and sunlight become plentiful, a tree grows quickly and produces lighter-colored wood. As summer gradually turns toward autumn, growth slows, creating darker and denser wood. Together, these light and dark layers form one annual ring. By counting them carefully, scientists can often estimate the age of a tree. But tree rings reveal much more than age alone. Wide rings usually suggest years with favorable growing conditions, while narrow rings may indicate drought, cold weather, or other environmental challenges. Sometimes a ring contains evidence of a forest fire, an insect outbreak, or even damage caused by lightning. These events become permanently recorded within the wood. Researchers compare tree rings from many forests to understand how climates have changed over hundreds or even thousands of years. This science, known as dendrochronology, helps historians, archaeologists, and climate scientists learn about Earth's past with remarkable accuracy. Even after a tree has completed its life, its rings continue sharing valuable information with future generations. Every ring represents another peaceful cycle of spring, summer, autumn, and winter patiently completed. The next time you see a mighty tree, remember that beneath its bark is a quiet diary written 1 year at a time. Fact 57. Misty mornings help the forest wake gently. Before the first golden rays of sunlight reach the forest floor, a gentle mist sometimes drifts among the trees. It moves so quietly that it almost seems alive. This morning mist forms when cool overnight air causes water vapor to condense into countless tiny droplets suspended above the ground. Valleys and low areas often fill first, creating soft white blankets that slowly weave between trunks and branches. As birds begin singing their first songs, the mist catches the early sunlight, turning the entire forest into a glowing landscape of silver and gold. Spider webs sparkle with thousands of tiny droplets, while leaves glisten as though covered in precious crystals. Many animals become active during these cool hours because the comfortable temperatures make traveling easier. The mist also helps keep the air moist, reducing water loss from delicate plants and mosses. Photographers often describe misty forests as some of nature's most magical scenes because familiar places suddenly feel mysterious and peaceful. Within a few hours, the rising sun gently warms the air, causing the mist to disappear almost without notice. It is a beautiful reminder that some of nature's most memorable moments last only a short while before quietly fading away. Fact 58. Seeds sometimes travel by water. While many seeds float through the air on the wind, others choose a completely different journey. Heavy rain, small streams, and winding rivers become natural highways carrying seeds through the forest. Some seeds are specially adapted with waterproof coverings that protect them during long journeys in the water. After falling from their parent trees, They may float gently downstream for days before finally reaching a suitable place to grow. Floods occasionally carry seeds even farther, depositing them on freshly enriched soil beside rivers and streams. These newly formed riverbanks often provide excellent conditions for young plants because they contain rich nutrients left behind by flowing water. Some tropical trees rely heavily on rivers to spread their offspring across vast areas of forest. Even after reaching dry land, many seeds remain dormant until the right combination of warmth, moisture, and sunlight encourages them to begin growing. In this way, water connects different parts of the forest, helping trees establish future generations far from where they first began. Every winding stream becomes not only a source of life, but also a gentle traveler carrying tomorrow's forest downstream. Fact 59. The forest changes color every hour. Many people think of forests changing only with the seasons, but their colors also shift throughout every single day. Before sunrise, the woodland is filled with cool shades of blue and gray as the first light quietly reaches the horizon. As morning arrives, warm golden sunlight filters through the leaves, making fresh greens appear bright and vibrant. Around midday, when the sun stands high overhead, shadows become shorter and colors appear crisp and clear. By late afternoon, the light grows warmer again, painting tree trunks with rich amber tones. During autumn, these changing colors become even more spectacular as golden leaves glow brilliantly in the evening sun. After rainfall, wet bark becomes darker, leaves shine more brightly, and moss seems almost to glow against the forest floor. On cloudy days, soft light removes harsh shadows, allowing every detail to appear gentle and balanced. Moonlight transforms the same landscape once again, replacing colorful scenes with peaceful silver-gray silhouettes. Although the forest itself remains in the same place, the changing light creates a new masterpiece every hour of every day. Fact 60. A forest is a home shared by thousands of species. At first glance, a forest may appear to belong only to its trees. Yet every branch, leaf, root, flower, stream, and fallen log provides a home for countless forms of life. Towering trees shelter birds, squirrels, insects, and climbing plants high above the ground. The forest floor supports mushrooms, mosses, wildflowers, beetles, worms, spiders, and countless tiny organisms hidden beneath the leaves. Streams flowing through the woodland become homes for fish, frogs, salamanders, dragonflies, and aquatic insects. Dead trees continue serving nature by providing nesting cavities, food, and shelter for animals long after they stop growing. Even the soil contains billions of microscopic organisms working quietly to recycle nutrients and support new life. Every species depends upon many others, forming an intricate web of relationships that has developed over millions of years. If one part of this living community changes, many other parts respond as well, showing just how closely connected the forest truly is. Scientists continue discovering new species every year, reminding us that even today, forests still hold many fascinating secrets. As we reach our 60th sleepy fact, perhaps the greatest wonder is this. A forest is not simply a place filled with trees. It is an entire living world where every creature, from the tallest eagle to the tiniest microbe, plays its own quiet and important role in the endless story of nature. Fact 61. Forests create natural shade that cools the earth. On a warm summer afternoon, stepping into a forest often feels like entering a naturally air-conditioned world. The temperature drops, the sunlight becomes softer, and the air feels noticeably fresher. This cooling effect begins high above the ground in the forest canopy. Millions of leaves intercept the sunlight before it reaches the forest floor, preventing much of the sun's heat from warming the soil directly. As sunlight is absorbed by the leaves, much of its energy is used for photosynthesis rather than simply heating the surrounding air. Trees also cool themselves through transpiration. Water absorbed by the roots travels upward and is released through tiny openings in the leaves as invisible water vapor. Just as perspiration helps cool the human body, this evaporation gently cools the air surrounding the trees. In large forests, the combined effect of millions of trees can lower local temperatures by several degrees, creating comfortable conditions for countless plants and animals. This cooler environment also helps streams remain cold enough for fish and amphibians that depend on lower water temperatures. Many forest animals become active during the hottest parts of the day because the shade offers protection from intense sunlight. People have sought shelter beneath trees for thousands of years, finding relief from heat long before modern cooling systems existed. Every quiet patch of shade beneath a forest canopy is another reminder that nature has been creating comfortable places to rest for millions of years. Fact 62. Woodpeckers can hear tiny insects inside trees. The rhythmic tapping of a woodpecker echoes gently through many forests, but that familiar sound is only one part of the bird's remarkable hunting strategy. Before striking a tree, a woodpecker often pauses quietly, listening with extraordinary attention. Its hearing is so sensitive that it can detect the faint sounds of insects moving beneath layers of bark or deep inside decaying wood. Once it locates its hidden meal, the bird begins pecking with incredible speed and precision, removing just enough wood to reach the insect. Some woodpeckers can strike a tree more than 20 times every second without harming their brains. Special shock-absorbing structures inside the skull help protect them from the repeated impacts. After creating a small opening, the bird extends its remarkably long tongue, which is coated with sticky saliva and tiny backward-facing barbs. This specialized tongue easily reaches deep into narrow tunnels where insects are hiding. By feeding on wood-boring insects, woodpeckers help keep many trees healthier and contribute to the natural balance of the forest. Every gentle tapping sound reminds us that even the smallest forest noises often have an important purpose. Fact 63. Moss can hold an amazing amount of water. If you gently press your hand against a patch of forest moss after rainfall, you may notice how soft and moist it feels. This tiny plant acts like a natural sponge, capable of absorbing surprisingly large amounts of water compared with its own weight. Each small stem traps moisture between delicate leaves, creating tiny reservoirs that remain available long after the rain has stopped. This stored water benefits nearby plants by helping keep the forest floor cool and damp. Tiny insects, spiders, snails, and microscopic animals depend upon these moist environments for survival. During dry weather, moss slowly releases its stored water back into the surrounding air and soil. Many birds collect soft moss to line their nests, creating warm and comfortable places for their eggs and chicks. In northern forests, thick carpets of moss help protect the soil from extreme temperatures throughout the year. Some mosses grow so slowly that a patch only a few centimeters thick may have taken many years to develop. Though humble in appearance, moss quietly performs one of the forest's most valuable jobs by helping manage its precious supply of water. Fact 64. The forest smells different after every season. One of the most comforting things about a forest is its ever-changing fragrance. During spring, the air carries the fresh scent of new leaves, damp soil, and blooming wildflowers. Summer brings warm aromas of pine needles, tree resin, sunlit bark, and rich green vegetation. After an autumn rain, fallen leaves release earthy fragrances as they slowly begin returning to the soil. Winter forests often smell crisp and clean, with cold air carrying the subtle scent of evergreen trees. Warm sunshine can increase the release of natural oils from certain trees, making their fragrance stronger during the afternoon. Rain awakens microorganisms in the soil, producing the familiar earthy aroma that many people instantly recognize. Even the time of day influences the forest scent, as morning dew and evening humidity gently change the air. Every combination of weather, plants, and seasons creates a fragrance that belongs only to that particular forest. Long after a walk has ended, the memory of a forest's peaceful scent often stays with us, reminding us of calm days spent beneath the trees. Fact 65. Forests teach us that everything is connected. Perhaps the greatest lesson any forest offers is that nothing exists completely alone. The towering trees depend upon rich soil filled with fungi, bacteria, insects, and earthworms. Birds rely upon trees for nesting places, while trees benefit from birds spreading seeds and helping control insect populations. Flowers depend upon bees, butterflies, beetles, and other pollinators to produce the next generation of seeds. Streams provide water for animals, while surrounding forests protect those same streams from erosion and pollution. Fallen logs become homes for mushrooms, insects, mosses, and young seedlings beginning new lives. Predators help maintain healthy populations of herbivores, allowing forests to remain balanced over time. Even microscopic organisms invisible to the human eye quietly support every larger form of life growing above them. No plant or animal survives entirely by itself. Every living thing contributes, directly or indirectly, to the health of the whole ecosystem. As our journey reaches its 65th sleepy fact, the forest gently reminds us that its greatest strength comes not from any single tree, flower, bird, or stream, but from the countless peaceful connections that unite them into one remarkable living world. Fact 66. Forest rain begins long before the clouds arrive. When we think about rain, we usually imagine dark clouds gathering overhead. But in many forests, the journey of each raindrop begins much earlier, thanks to the trees themselves. Every day, tree roots quietly draw water upward from deep within the soil. This water travels through the trunk and branches until it finally reaches millions of tiny leaves. From the surface of these leaves, invisible water vapor escapes into the atmosphere through tiny openings called stomata. This gentle process is known as transpiration. A single large tree can release hundreds of liters of water into the air during a warm day, depending on the species and weather conditions. When millions of trees perform this process together, they add enormous amounts of moisture to the atmosphere above the forest. As this moist air rises and cools, tiny droplets begin forming around microscopic particles floating in the sky. These droplets eventually become clouds. In some regions, this additional moisture helps increase the likelihood of rainfall, creating a beautiful cycle in which forests help supply some of the water they later receive. Scientists continue studying this remarkable relationship between forests and local weather, discovering how deeply connected trees and rainfall truly are. Without realizing it, every leaf is quietly participating in one of Earth's greatest natural water cycles. The next time gentle rain falls through the forest canopy, remember that many of those raindrops may have begun their journey from the very trees beneath which they now land. Fact 67. Some forests glow softly at night. Although forests are usually dark after sunset, certain places around the world reveal an unexpected and magical sight. On damp fallen logs or decaying branches, some species of fungi produce a faint greenish-blue light known as bioluminescence. This natural glow is created through a chemical reaction inside the fungus, much like the light produced by fireflies. The light is usually far too dim to notice during the day, but on a very dark night, patient observers may see pieces of wood glowing softly beneath the trees. Scientists are still studying why some fungi glow. One possibility is that the light attracts insects, which then helps spread the fungi's spores to new locations. Only a small number of fungal species possess this remarkable ability, making glowing forests quite rare. Many cultures once believed these mysterious lights were magical or supernatural because they appeared without any visible flame. Early explorers sometimes called glowing wood foxfire, a name that has remained popular for centuries. Even today, seeing naturally glowing fungi beneath a quiet forest canopy feels almost dreamlike. Nature often hides its most extraordinary wonders in the darkest, quietest places, waiting patiently for those who take the time to look closely. Fact 68. Forests protect the soil from washing away. The ground beneath a healthy forest is far more stable than it might first appear. Whenever rain falls on open land, water can quickly flow across the surface, carrying valuable soil away with it. In forests, however, the thick canopy slows falling raindrops before they reach the ground. Leaves, branches, and moss soften the impact, preventing much of the soil from being disturbed. The blanket of fallen leaves acts like a protective cushion, absorbing rainfall and giving water time to soak gently into the earth. Meanwhile, countless roots form an underground web that holds the soil firmly together. Even on steep hillsides, these roots help prevent landslides and reduce erosion during heavy storms. Healthy forest soil remains rich because valuable nutrients stay where plants can continue using them year after year. Streams flowing through forested areas are often clearer because less loose soil washes into the water. By quietly protecting the ground beneath them, forests preserve the very foundation upon which future generations of trees will grow. Fact 69. Fireflies turn summer nights into living stars. As warm summer evenings settle over certain forests, tiny flashes of light begin appearing among the trees. At first, there may be only one or two glowing insects drifting slowly through the darkness. Soon, dozens, or even hundreds, begin blinking gently, transforming the woodland into what looks like a sky filled with floating stars. These remarkable insects are fireflies, also known as lightning bugs. Their light is produced through an incredibly efficient chemical reaction that creates almost no heat, making it one of nature's most energy-efficient forms of light. Different firefly species flash in unique patterns, allowing males and females to recognize one another during the breeding season. Some species blink only once every few seconds, while others produce rapid sequences of tiny flashes. The soft lights also help scientists identify different species without needing to capture them. Because fireflies depend on healthy habitats, forests with many fireflies are often signs of thriving ecosystems. Watching their gentle lights drift silently through the trees is one of the most peaceful and magical experiences a summer forest can offer. Fact 70. Every forest is part of a much larger planet. As we walk quietly beneath the trees, it is easy to think of the forest around us as a world entirely on its own. Yet every forest is connected to something much larger. The oxygen produced by its leaves mixes with the atmosphere shared by the entire planet. The streams flowing through the woodland eventually join rivers that travel toward distant lakes and oceans. Birds migrate between forests separated by thousands of kilometers, carrying seeds and linking ecosystems across continents. The carbon stored inside trunks and roots helps influence Earth's climate far beyond the forest itself. Clouds formed above one forest may later release rain hundreds of kilometers away. Even tiny insects, carried by gentle winds, may travel farther than we could ever imagine. Scientists now understand that forests are not isolated islands of nature, but important pieces of one enormous global system supporting life across Earth. As our peaceful journey reaches its 70th sleepy fact, perhaps the greatest wonder is this: every quiet woodland, no matter how small, plays its own gentle role in the endless story of our living planet. Fact 71. Forests are nature's giant sound barriers. Have you ever noticed how the world seems quieter the moment you step beneath a canopy of trees? The noise of busy roads fades into the distance, and the forest welcomes you with a gentle sense of calm. Trees, shrubs, and layers of leaves naturally absorb and scatter sound waves. Instead of allowing noise to travel freely, the forest softens and breaks it apart. The rough bark of tree trunks helps reduce echoes that would otherwise bounce across open spaces. Dense bushes and young saplings create additional layers that further muffle unwanted sounds. Even the soft forest floor plays an important role. Moss, fallen leaves, and rich soil absorb sound far better than concrete or bare ground. This is one reason why many parks and nature reserves feel peaceful, even when they are located near busy towns or highways. Scientists have found that natural sounds, such as birdsong and rustling leaves, often help people feel more relaxed than the constant noise of traffic. The forest does not become completely silent. Instead, it replaces harsh, mechanical sounds with gentle natural ones that change from moment to moment. Every breeze, bird, and flowing stream contributes to a peaceful soundscape that has comforted people for thousands of years. Perhaps that is why so many people leave the forest feeling refreshed. It is not only what they see that calms them, but also what they no longer hear. Fact 72. Some trees can survive lightning strikes. Thunderstorms occasionally pass over forests, bringing heavy rain, powerful winds, and flashes of brilliant lightning. When lightning strikes a tree, it releases an enormous amount of electrical energy in less than a second. The intense heat can instantly turn water inside the tree into steam, causing bark to split or even explode away from the trunk. Although this sounds dramatic, many mature trees actually survive lightning strikes. Some species have thick bark that helps protect the living tissues beneath from severe damage. If only part of the tree is affected, healthy tissues continue carrying water and nutrients to the remaining branches. Over time, the wound slowly closes as new wood grows around the damaged area. Scientists sometimes recognize old lightning scars decades after the original strike, providing a visible record of the tree's long life. Lightning also creates small openings in the forest canopy, allowing sunlight to reach young seedlings waiting patiently below. Even powerful storms become part of the forest's natural story, reminding us that resilience often grows from overcoming challenges. Fact 73. Tiny tree seedlings wait patiently for their chance. Beneath the towering canopy, thousands of tiny seedlings quietly live in the shade. Some are only a few centimeters tall, yet they may already be several years old. Because very little sunlight reaches the forest floor, these young trees grow extremely slowly. Rather than using all their energy to grow taller, they focus on developing healthy roots and storing nutrients. They patiently wait for an opportunity. Perhaps an old tree will eventually fall during a storm, creating a gap in the canopy. Suddenly, sunlight pours onto the forest floor where darkness once remained. The waiting seedlings respond almost immediately, increasing their growth and reaching toward the newly available light. Some may spend decades preparing for this single moment. The forest teaches us that patience is not inactivity. Sometimes, quiet preparation is the most important part of growth. Fact 74. Berries feed much of the forest. Throughout summer and autumn, many forest plants produce colorful berries. Bright red, deep blue, purple, orange, and black fruits appear among bushes and vines beneath the trees. These berries provide valuable food for birds, bears, foxes, deer, and countless smaller mammals. As animals eat the fruit, they swallow the seeds hidden inside. Later, those seeds are carried to entirely new parts of the forest before being naturally deposited on the ground. This simple process allows plants to spread far beyond where they originally grew. Birds are especially effective seed carriers because they can fly long distances in a single day. Many berry-producing plants have evolved brightly colored fruit specifically to attract hungry animals. Without realizing it, every meal helps plant the next generation of shrubs and vines. In this gentle partnership, both plants and animals benefit, showing once again how closely every part of the forest is connected. Fact 75. Forests have been home to humans for thousands of years. Long before modern cities existed, forests provided people with shelter, food, fresh water, and materials for everyday life. Many indigenous peoples around the world developed deep knowledge of the forests where they lived, learning how to gather plants, track animals, and care for the land sustainably over countless generations. Different trees supplied wood for homes, tools, boats, and fires that provided warmth during cold seasons. Medicinal plants growing beneath the canopy were carefully studied and passed down through generations. Forest streams supplied fresh water and fish, while berries, nuts, and edible plants became important seasonal foods. People also learned to observe birds, insects, and weather patterns to better understand the changing seasons. Many traditions, stories, songs, and ceremonies were inspired by the forests that surrounded these communities. Today, scientists continue learning from indigenous knowledge alongside modern ecological research, helping us better understand and protect forest ecosystems. Although technology has changed dramatically, forests remain places where people seek peace, inspiration, and a connection with the natural world. For thousands of years, forests have quietly supported human life, reminding us that our own story has always been closely connected with the trees. Fact 76. Forests are full of natural bridges. As you wander deeper into the forest, you may come across streams, rocky slopes, or deep ravines. To us, these might seem like obstacles, but for many forest animals, nature has already built countless bridges. A fallen tree stretching across a stream quickly becomes a safe crossing for squirrels, mice, foxes, and even insects. What looks like an old log is actually a busy pathway connecting two parts of the forest. Some vines grow from one tree to another, forming swinging bridges high above the ground. In tropical forests, monkeys, squirrels, and many climbing animals travel along these natural highways without ever touching the forest floor. Large roots often spread across streams or between rocks, creating sturdy walkways that have taken decades to form. Even branches from neighboring trees sometimes grow so close together that birds and small mammals can easily leap from one to the next. Moss gradually covers these bridges, making them appear as though they have always belonged to the landscape. After heavy rain, These crossings become especially important, allowing animals to move safely while streams flow swiftly below. Scientists studying wildlife often discover that many species repeatedly use the same natural crossings, creating invisible travel routes through the woodland. These bridges require no engineers, machines, or blueprints. They are built slowly by growth, weather, and the steady passage of time. Every fallen tree reminds us that even after its life as a living giant has ended, it continues connecting the forest in new and meaningful ways. Fact 77. Forest air is filled with invisible life. The air in a forest may appear perfectly clear, but it is quietly carrying countless tiny living things. Microscopic pollen grains drift gently from flowers and trees, beginning journeys that may end many kilometers away. Tiny fungal spores float through the breeze, searching for fallen logs or damp soil where new fungi can begin growing. Helpful bacteria also travel through the air, joining millions of other microscopic organisms that play important roles in the forest ecosystem. Although invisible to our eyes, these tiny travelers help forests grow, reproduce, and remain healthy. Every gentle gust of wind carries a new mixture of microscopic life from one part of the woodland to another. Rain helps wash many of these tiny particles back to the ground, where they continue supporting new growth. Scientists use special equipment to study forest air and continue discovering just how rich this invisible world really is. Even the fresh scent of a forest is partly created by tiny natural compounds released into the atmosphere by trees and plants. So while a peaceful forest may seem still and empty, the air itself is quietly filled with life moving in every direction. Fact 78. Snow gives the forest a peaceful blanket. When winter arrives, many forests are transformed into quiet white landscapes. Snow settles gently on branches, covering leaves, fallen logs, and rocks with a soft blanket that changes the appearance of everything beneath it. One of snow's most remarkable qualities is its ability to absorb sound. The tiny air pockets trapped between snowflakes help muffle footsteps, distant echoes, and many everyday noises. This is why snowy forests often feel especially calm and peaceful. Beneath the snow, however, life continues. Small mammals such as mice and voles create tiny tunnels under the snow, where temperatures remain surprisingly stable compared with the cold air above. Tree roots stay insulated beneath the thick layer, helping protect them from freezing temperatures. Evergreen trees continue standing proudly with snow resting gently upon their branches, adding beauty to the quiet winter landscape. Although winter may appear to slow the forest, it is really just another peaceful season in nature's endless cycle. Fact 79. Wood Wide Web connects many trees. For many years, people believed every tree stood completely alone. Today, scientists know that beneath the forest floor lies an astonishing network of fungal threads connecting the roots of many trees. These tiny threads, called mycorrhizal fungi, form partnerships with tree roots. The fungi help trees absorb water and minerals that would otherwise be difficult to reach. In return, the trees provide the fungi with sugars produced through photosynthesis. Researchers have discovered that this underground network may also allow chemical signals and nutrients to move between connected plants under certain conditions. Older, well-established trees often support nearby young seedlings through these underground relationships. Although scientists are still learning exactly how these systems work, there is little doubt that forests are far more interconnected than people once imagined. The entire woodland functions less like separate individuals and more like a peaceful community working together over generations. Hidden beneath every quiet step, may be thousands of kilometers of delicate fungal threads quietly supporting the forest above. Fact 80. Every forest is a living masterpiece. As our journey reaches its 80th sleepy fact, it becomes clear that a forest is far more than a collection of trees. It is a place where towering giants and tiny mosses live side by side, where birds greet the sunrise while owls quietly welcome the night, where streams patiently carve valleys, mushrooms recycle fallen wood, and squirrels unknowingly plant the forests of tomorrow. Every season paints the woodland with new colors, new sounds, and new fragrances. Every breeze carries seeds, pollen, and whispers through the leaves. Every fallen log becomes the beginning of another story, giving shelter to creatures both large and small. No artist could ever completely capture the endless beauty, complexity, and quiet harmony found within a healthy forest. Perhaps that is why people return to forests again and again, not because they expect them to change quickly, but because they know the forest will always offer peace, wonder, and gentle reminders that nature's greatest masterpieces are created slowly, one season at a time. Fact 81. Forests create tiny worlds called microhabitats. When people think about a forest, they often imagine one large environment filled with trees. But if you look more closely, you'll discover that the forest is actually made up of thousands of tiny worlds known as microhabitats. A microhabitat is a small area where the temperature, moisture, sunlight, and living conditions are different from the surroundings. These tiny places provide homes for species perfectly adapted to them. The underside of a fallen log is one example. It stays cool, dark, and damp throughout much of the year, making it an ideal home for beetles, millipedes, worms, fungi, and salamanders. A hollow tree forms another microhabitat. Birds may build nests inside, bats rest there during the day, and insects find shelter within the cracks of the wood. Even a single patch of moss growing on a shaded rock creates a miniature forest where microscopic animals, tiny spiders, and delicate insects can survive. Small pools of rainwater trapped inside tree hollows become temporary homes for mosquito larvae, tiny aquatic insects, and microorganisms. Sunlit clearings provide completely different conditions. Wildflowers bloom there, attracting butterflies, bees, and hummingbirds that depend on the extra light. The tops of ancient trees form yet another hidden world, where mosses, lichens, orchids, and countless insects spend their entire lives high above the ground. Scientists continue discovering new species living within these specialized habitats, reminding us that even the smallest corner of a forest can support an entire community of life. Every step through a woodland carries you past hundreds of these miniature ecosystems, each quietly contributing to the remarkable diversity of the forest. Fact 82. Wolves help keep forests in balance. Although many people rarely see them, wolves have played an important role in many forests for thousands of years. Wolves usually live and hunt in family groups called packs. Working together allows them to communicate, protect one another, and care for their young. As predators, wolves often hunt animals such as deer or elk, helping keep their populations from growing too large. When herbivore populations remain balanced, young trees and shrubs have a better chance to grow instead of being heavily grazed. Healthier vegetation provides food and shelter for birds, insects, and many smaller mammals throughout the forest. Scientists studying certain ecosystems have observed that the presence of wolves can influence the behavior of grazing animals as well as their numbers, affecting where they spend time feeding. These changes can allow riverbanks, shrubs, and young forests to recover over time in some areas. Wolves themselves are also part of the food web. After a successful hunt, Many other animals, including ravens, foxes, insects, and fungi, benefit from what remains. Despite their reputation in old stories, wolves usually avoid people and spend much of their lives quietly moving through remote forests. Their presence reminds us that every species, including predators, plays a valuable role in maintaining the natural balance of the woodland. Fact 83. Forests have their own gentle rhythms. Unlike cities that follow clocks and calendars, forests follow rhythms that have remained remarkably consistent for millions of years. Every morning begins with birds greeting the sunrise, while insects slowly become active as the air begins to warm. By midday, bees move from flower to flower, squirrels search for food among the branches, and sunlight filters gently through the canopy. As afternoon fades into evening, shadows lengthen across the forest floor, and many daytime animals begin returning to their resting places. Night introduces an entirely different community. Owls awaken, bats leave their shelters, and frogs begin singing beside quiet ponds. These daily rhythms repeat again and again, creating a sense of calm order throughout the woodland. The seasons add another layer to this pattern. Spring brings fresh leaves and blossoms. Summer fills the canopy with life. Autumn covers the ground with colorful leaves, while winter allows many plants to rest. Even rainfall, wind, and changing temperatures become part of the forest's natural schedule. Nothing happens too quickly, and nothing remains exactly the same forever. The forest gently teaches us that life does not need to be rushed. There is beauty in moving with nature's quiet rhythm. Fact 84. Tree stumps continue supporting life. When a tree is cut down or falls naturally, the remaining stump may appear lifeless at first glance. Yet this weathered piece of wood often becomes one of the busiest places in the entire forest. Moisture collects inside small cracks, creating perfect conditions for fungi to begin breaking down the wood. Moss gradually spreads across the surface, turning rough bark into a soft green cushion. Tiny beetles tunnel through the decaying wood, while ants build chambers beneath it. Spiders spin delicate webs between small cracks, waiting patiently for passing insects. Some birds search old stumps for hidden insects, gently tapping the wood with their beaks. As years pass, the stump slowly softens and becomes rich soil where wildflowers, grasses, and even young trees begin to grow. Scientists sometimes call these old stumps nature's recycling stations because they slowly return nutrients to the forest. Though the towering tree may be gone, its stump continues giving life to countless other organisms for many years. Fact 85. Forests inspire wonder at every age. Children often see forests as places of adventure, filled with towering trees, colorful birds, and mysterious woodland paths waiting to be explored. Adults may discover something different. The same forest becomes a place of peace, reflection, and quiet escape from the busy pace of everyday life. Scientists walk through forests searching for new discoveries, carefully studying plants, animals, fungi, and ecosystems that still hold many unanswered questions. Artists find endless inspiration in the changing light, rich colors, and graceful shapes of branches stretching toward the sky. Photographers patiently wait for sunrise, hoping to capture a single moment when mist, sunlight, and ancient trees come together perfectly. Writers have imagined countless stories beginning beneath forest canopies, inspired by the mystery and beauty surrounding them. Hikers appreciate the cool shade and peaceful sounds that accompany every step along woodland trails. Birdwatchers listen carefully for songs hidden among the leaves, while nature lovers simply pause to enjoy the quiet. No matter a person's age or background, Forests have a remarkable way of encouraging curiosity, patience, and appreciation for the natural world. Perhaps that is why forests continue to inspire people generation after generation, offering not only knowledge and beauty, but also a peaceful reminder that some of life's greatest treasures are found simply by slowing down and paying attention. Fact 86. Forests are natural medicine cabinets. For thousands of years, people have looked toward forests and plants for healing. Long before modern laboratories existed, humans carefully observed the natural world and discovered that many plants contain useful compounds. Leaves, roots, bark, flowers, and seeds have all been used by different cultures for traditional remedies. Scientists continue studying forest plants today because many contain unique chemicals created as natural defenses against insects, diseases, and environmental challenges. Some compounds discovered from plants have contributed to modern medicines used around the world. The diversity of forest ecosystems is especially important because every species produces its own unique chemistry. A tiny plant growing beneath a tree canopy may contain substances that help scientists understand new possibilities for human health. Fungi found on decaying wood have also attracted scientific attention because they produce complex chemicals while competing with other organisms. Even trees themselves create natural compounds that protect them from harmful organisms. The incredible variety found in forests means that many potential discoveries may still be waiting to be found. Protecting forests therefore protects not only wildlife and landscapes, but also a vast library of natural knowledge that future generations may continue exploring. Fact 87. Hummingbirds are tiny forest helicopters. Among the most fascinating visitors to forest flowers are hummingbirds, tiny creatures capable of movements that seem almost impossible. Their wings can beat dozens of times every second, allowing them to hover in one place while drinking nectar from flowers. Unlike most birds, hummingbirds can fly backward, sideways, and even remain perfectly still in the air. Their rapid movements require enormous amounts of energy, so they visit many flowers throughout the day to collect enough food. While feeding, they accidentally carry pollen from one flower to another, helping many forest plants reproduce. Their long, specialized beaks are perfectly adapted for reaching nectar hidden deep inside certain flowers. Bright colors on their feathers are created partly by the structure of the feathers themselves, which reflect light in brilliant ways. Despite their tiny size, hummingbirds may migrate thousands of kilometers between breeding and winter habitats. Their hearts beat incredibly fast during activity, yet they can enter a resting state at night to conserve energy. A hummingbird appearing among forest flowers is a reminder that even the smallest animals can display extraordinary abilities. Fact 88. Forests create homes inside the trees themselves. A tree is not just one living structure. It can contain many different habitats within its trunk, branches, bark, and roots. Cracks in bark provide hiding places for insects and spiders searching for protection from predators. Hollow sections inside old trees become shelters for birds, bats, squirrels, and small mammals. Branches covered with moss and lichens create tiny gardens high above the ground. Even the spaces between roots can become safe homes for insects, reptiles, and amphibians. Some animals spend their entire lives connected to a single tree, depending on it for food, shelter, and protection. A large ancient tree may support hundreds of different organisms at the same time. As the tree ages, it often becomes even more valuable because older trees develop more complex structures. Dead branches and hollow spaces are not signs of failure. They are opportunities for new life. The longer a tree survives, the more stories and relationships it collects around itself. A single tree can become a miniature city, quietly supporting an entire community beneath the forest canopy. Fact 89. Forest animals communicate without words. The forest is filled with conversations, but most of them do not sound like human speech. Birds use songs and calls to announce danger, attract mates, and stay connected with family members. Deer communicate through body movements, sounds, and chemical signals left behind in their environment. Wolves use howls, posture, and facial expressions to maintain strong social bonds within their packs. Insects communicate through vibrations, scents, and chemical messages that humans usually cannot detect. Trees and plants also release chemical signals when they experience threats such as insect attacks or environmental stress. Some animals leave scent markings that provide information to others passing through the same area. Footprints, scratches on bark, and changes in vegetation can also act as messages within the forest. Every species has developed its own language shaped by millions of years of evolution. Although humans may not understand these conversations directly, the forest is constantly exchanging information around us. The woodland is not silent. It is simply speaking in ways we are still learning to understand. Fact 90. Forest paths are written by generations of movement. When you walk through a forest and notice a narrow trail beneath your feet, that path may have a much older story than you realize. Many forest paths are created naturally by repeated movement from animals traveling through the same areas. Deer follow routes that connect feeding areas, water sources, and safe resting locations. Small mammals create tiny pathways beneath leaves and plants as they search for food and shelter. Over many years, repeated footsteps press down vegetation and create visible trails. Some routes have been used by wildlife for generations, long before humans ever discovered them. The shape of these paths often reveals the landscape itself. Animals naturally choose easier routes around steep slopes, streams, and dense vegetation. Humans walking through forests often follow the same trails because our instincts recognize the practicality of these natural pathways. Even a simple forest trail represents countless journeys made by countless creatures over time. Every footprint, paw mark, and fallen leaf becomes part of the continuing story written across the woodland floor. A forest path is not just a way through the trees. It is a record of life moving together through the seasons. Fact 91. Forests capture the power of sunlight. Every forest begins its story with a simple but extraordinary process: sunlight reaching the leaves. High above the forest floor, millions of leaves act like tiny solar panels, capturing energy from the sun and transforming it into the fuel that powers life. Through photosynthesis, trees combine sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide to create sugars that help them grow. These sugars become the building blocks for everything from new leaves and branches to strong roots hidden beneath the soil. The oxygen released during this process enters the atmosphere, becoming part of the air that countless creatures breathe. A single large tree can contain enormous amounts of stored energy collected from sunlight over many decades. When animals eat leaves, fruits, seeds, or other plants, they receive some of this captured solar energy. Predators then gain energy by feeding on those animals, creating a chain that connects the entire forest back to the sun. Even fallen leaves continue carrying this ancient sunlight. As they decompose, their stored energy becomes part of the soil and supports future growth. Every peaceful forest is therefore a living collection of sunlight transformed into life, one leaf at a time. Fact 92. Forest rivers create peaceful journeys. Small streams flowing through forests may appear simple, but each one tells a long story written across the landscape. Many begin as tiny drops of water emerging from springs hidden beneath rocks and roots. As they travel downhill, they collect more water from rainfall, melting snow, and underground sources. Along the way, these streams shape the land, slowly carving pathways through soil and stone. The sound of moving water provides one of the most calming experiences found in nature. Many animals visit forest streams because they provide drinking water and places to find food. Frogs lay eggs in quiet pools. Insects grow beneath the surface, and birds search the banks for insects and seeds. Fallen branches and rocks create small waterfalls and pools, adding variety to the stream environment. The plants growing beside rivers help stabilize the banks, preventing soil from washing away during storms. Every forest stream is a moving connection between mountains, forests, wetlands, and oceans. A quiet river beneath the trees is not just water flowing past. It is a journey carrying life through the landscape. Fact 93. Mushrooms are the forest recycling experts. When autumn leaves fall and old trees return to the earth, mushrooms become some of the forest's most important workers. Although mushrooms are the visible part we notice, the main body of a fungus exists underground as a network of tiny threads called mycelium. These delicate threads spread through soil and decaying wood, breaking down materials that would otherwise remain locked away. Fungi release nutrients from fallen branches, leaves, and dead organisms, returning them to the soil where plants can use them again. Without fungi, forests would slowly become buried beneath layers of undecomposed organic material. Many mushrooms form partnerships with tree roots, helping trees collect water and minerals while receiving energy in return. Some fungi live for decades beneath the forest floor, expanding silently without ever producing a visible mushroom. After rain, mushrooms can appear suddenly, almost as if they have arrived overnight. Their shapes, colors, and sizes vary enormously, from tiny delicate forms to large forest giants. Every mushroom represents a hidden world of activity happening beneath our feet. The quiet work of fungi reminds us that endings in nature are often beginnings in disguise. Fact 94. Forest birds help spread new life. Every morning, forests awaken with thousands of bird songs. But birds do much more than create beautiful sounds. They help forests continue growing. Many birds eat fruits, berries, and seeds found throughout the woodland. After traveling to new locations, they leave behind seeds that may grow into future plants. Because birds can fly long distances, they are excellent partners in helping forests expand and recover. Some birds also carry seeds on their feathers or feet after moving through different plants. Woodpeckers create nesting holes that later become homes for other animals. Birds help control insect populations by feeding on caterpillars, beetles, and other small creatures. Their movements connect different areas of the forest, linking ecosystems together. Migration allows some bird species to connect forests separated by thousands of kilometers. A single bird flying through the trees may unknowingly influence the future shape of the forest. Every song heard among the branches is part of a much larger story of growth, movement, and renewal. Fact 95. Forests store ancient memories in their trees. A forest is not only a collection of living organisms, it is also a place filled with memories. Every old tree carries evidence of the world it has experienced. The shape of branches can reveal years of wind, storms, and changing conditions. Scars on the bark may show where lightning, animals, or falling branches once caused damage. Tree rings preserve information about past climates, including years of drought, heavy rainfall, and unusual temperatures. Some trees have lived through events that happened before modern cities were built. Their roots have grown through soils shaped by centuries of changing landscapes. The surrounding plants and animals have changed around them, yet the oldest trees continue standing as silent witnesses. Scientists carefully study these natural records to better understand Earth's history. Ancient forests are like living libraries where the pages are written in wood, bark, roots, and leaves. Walking among old trees is like walking through a history book created by nature itself. Fact 96. Forests protect mountains and hills. Many forests grow on hillsides and mountain slopes, where their roots perform an important hidden task. Tree roots spread through the soil, creating a natural support system that helps hold the ground together. During heavy rainfall, this network reduces the amount of soil carried away by flowing water. Without vegetation, steep slopes can become unstable and more vulnerable to erosion. Forests also slow the movement of rainwater, allowing more moisture to soak into the ground. This helps reduce sudden floods and protects valleys below. Mountain forests provide habitats for specialized animals that have adapted to cooler temperatures and challenging landscapes. They also influence local weather by releasing moisture into the atmosphere and affecting temperature patterns. Many rivers that provide water to millions of people begin in forest-covered mountains. Protecting these forests means protecting both wildlife and communities living far away. The trees standing quietly on a mountain slope are not only beautiful, they are guardians of the land itself. Fact 97. Forests have secret night gardens. When darkness arrives, a completely different world begins beneath the trees. Many plants that remain unnoticed during the day become especially active at night. Some flowers open after sunset, releasing powerful scents to attract nighttime pollinators such as moths. Certain fungi glow softly in the darkness, creating tiny points of natural light. Night-blooming plants take advantage of cooler temperatures and reduced competition from daytime visitors. Moths, bats, and other creatures move between flowers, continuing the process of pollination while most humans are asleep. The moonlight reveals shapes and textures that look completely different from the daytime forest. Leaves appear silver, tree trunks become silhouettes, and tiny movements become easier to notice in the quiet darkness. Scientists studying nighttime forests continue discovering behaviors that were previously unknown. The forest after sunset is not empty. It is simply operating on a different schedule. Every night reveals another hidden chapter in the endless story of woodland life. Fact 98. Forests teach the art of balance. A healthy forest survives because countless forces remain in balance. Plants grow upward towards sunlight while roots spread downward searching for water. Herbivores eat vegetation, but predators help prevent populations from becoming too large. Fungi break down dead material, allowing nutrients to return to living plants. Rain provides water, while trees help return moisture to the atmosphere. Competition exists everywhere, yet cooperation is equally important. Trees compete for sunlight, but may also share resources through underground connections. Animals search for food while spreading seeds that help plants reproduce. Every species has its own needs, but each also contributes something valuable to the larger ecosystem. This balance does not mean everything remains unchanged. Forests are constantly adapting to seasons, storms, and environmental changes. The true beauty of a forest comes from its ability to change while maintaining harmony. Nature's balance is not perfect stillness. It is a continuous dance of adjustment and renewal. Fact 99. Forests are places where time feels different. Many people describe their first walk through a forest as feeling like entering another world. The reason may be that forests naturally slow our sense of time. Without constant reminders from clocks, screens, and city sounds, our attention shifts towards smaller details. We begin noticing the movement of clouds, the sound of leaves, and the changing patterns of sunlight. A few minutes beneath the trees can feel longer because our minds are focused on the present moment. The forest operates on much larger timescales. A tree may grow for hundreds of years, while a flower may bloom for only a few days. Streams slowly shape valleys over thousands of years. Seeds wait patiently for the right conditions before beginning their journey. The woodland reminds us that every living thing has its own pace. In a world that often moves quickly, forests offer a rare opportunity to experience patience and stillness. Perhaps this is why so many people feel peaceful among trees. The forest allows us to reconnect with a slower, more natural rhythm. Fact 100. The forest is one endless story of life. After exploring 100 peaceful facts about forests, one truth becomes clear. A forest is not simply a place filled with trees. It is a living story that has been written for millions of years. Every tree carries memories of seasons that have passed. Every stream carries water through landscapes shaped by time. Every bird, insect, mushroom, and flower plays a small but important role. The forest floor is constantly recycling old life into new beginnings. The canopy captures sunlight and transforms it into energy. Roots connect hidden worlds beneath the ground. Animals travel through invisible pathways created over generations. Rain, wind, snow, and sunlight all become characters in this endless natural story. A forest teaches patience because trees grow slowly. It teaches connection because every living thing depends on something else. It teaches wonder because even the smallest corner contains mysteries waiting to be discovered. And perhaps the most beautiful lesson of all is that forests do not need to rush to be extraordinary. They simply continue growing, changing, and supporting life, quietly, peacefully, and endlessly. As you close your eyes and imagine the sound of leaves moving gently in the breeze, remember that somewhere on Earth, a forest is always breathing, always growing, and always telling its timeless story. As the forest whispers beneath the stars, let your mind become calm and peaceful. Imagine the soft sound of leaves moving, the quiet rivers flowing, and the gentle breeze between the trees. Tonight, let the ancient forests remind you that everything in nature has its own perfect rhythm. Leave behind the worries of today and allow your thoughts to rest like a leaf floating slowly to the ground. May your dreams take you through peaceful woodland paths filled with glowing stars and endless green landscapes. The trees have stood through countless nights, and now it is your turn to pause, relax, and recharge. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and let the peaceful energy of the forest surround you. Tomorrow is another day filled with new discoveries, new moments, and new possibilities. Until then, sleep deeply, dream beautifully, and remember that nature is always quietly watching over you. Good night, and may your dreams be as peaceful as a forest under the moonlight.